Hello, everyone, and welcome to Swim or Sink 95. I'm DJM98, and I'm joined in this lovely room with Shads. How are you going today?
It is going to be great. We are 5 away from Big 100, the Swimmer Sink, which is going to be fun. And we're starting up with Triggerfish Zone Supremacy versus Xpresso. And well, I think we can tell exactly what stage everybody on one of these teams wants to come back.
And I can tell you now, they're not getting this stage, and at least in this round, and at least in this tournament, because the first stage we'll be seeing is Hagglefish Market on Clamblitz. Now, Hagglefish Market is obviously a map that a lot of us really enjoy seeing here in Splatoon 3, and Clamblitz, I feel like it's definitely gotten better in Splatoon 3, especially being a lot more fast-paced and a lot more ways to be collaborative with your team.
Yeah, lowering the amount of clams that you need to get a power clam from 10 to 8 definitely helps a lot as well, which definitely contributes to the faster pace of the game because you can make more power clams, you can make more pushes. In terms of weapons here, so this is going to be interesting. Triggerfish Zone Supremacy is not exactly known for running meta weapons. So
No.
Vapor uses Explosher, but I know that they're messing around with Rapid and sometimes E-Leader. Kraken is particularly well known for playing Rush, Aerospray, and Clutch Blaster in competitive. Did so ever since he was back in Ink Sigma. Smork was a one-trick Junior main for Ink Sigma, even back when Junior wasn't meta in Splatoon 2. So way back in his Stone Age. Not really sure about Pixie or Mufugami. DRF, I believe, plays mostly Sloshers. Mewtwo used to be on Sigma, has recently come back to comp. I think they've mostly been playing Machine, but I'm not too sure. Not sure what Brian's going to be playing.
It's really interesting looking. I'm just looking at like the number of names and B, the length of names. Like literally, if you were to put these two, comparing them on a graph in terms of length of name, length of players, like Triggerfish Zones, their name is literally breaking the character count, as well as maximizing the amount of players they have on the team, which is actually really interesting because they have essentially two teams in one, which can make for some really interesting choices because you can easily just, if you want to, switch out your entire team for an entirely new comp. We can really put your enemy team on the back foot when you have that in your pocket, just being able to pull that at any moment. Obviously not during a match, but as soon as you go into a game, you think that doesn't work, we'll just bring in our entire subbed team.
Yeah, Xpresso, I believe, mostly plays your classic meta weapons right now, and there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, Crab is great anywhere. Why not play Crab? Tyster is very good with shooters. Not really familiar with Arito. Hermit, I want to say, is a support, and Pincher is another Slayer. So it could be that Xpresso is going to run your standard Double Slayer support / skirmisher anchor comp, which has seen a return to the competitive scene ever since we've moved from S2 to S3. Or we could just see quad aggro, which is equally viable and honestly not a bad pick at all for Clamblitz.
No, definitely not a bad pick at all, Clamblitz. You can really go slam, dunk, and slam hard. But Hagglefish does have a lot of opportunities for backlines to particularly set up position. When you've got those splatlings, when you've got those charges, you can easily set up a shop on top of a pavilion or pretty much anywhere around that little ledge below, back behind mid. Allows you to have an easy control of a lot of zone, and we'll really have to see what these players are going to bring out when we do dive into the first map of the tournament. Hagglefish Market, Clam Blitz. Let's see what these two teams bring to the battle.
Teams loaded in, we can see the Kraken is on the brush, Vapor on the Explosher. TZS is going to run a double Slosher comp with Mewtwo on the machine, and then they're rounding that off with the Splatter Shot. That, of course, has to try Izuka. That will be very good for pushing in. Meanwhile, on the side of Xpresso, we see another brush machine, which, in the brush, quickly going down, but they have a Splash and then a Bow, which is a nice pick for an anchor in this mode in general. And lots of chip damage will come from those shots.
Absolutely. Bo is definitely a good pick, but with Xpresso going 2 players down, Triggerfish Supremacy is now gaining a lot of turf to try getting them back. But, and here they go, the Booyah Bomb does come out, and we're seeing all of Xpresso is pushed up back onto their plat. They do have the Pity the Clam at the ready. They have a total of 19 clams ready to shoot into the basket, but they do need to push up a little bit further if they do want to get it in. Hermit trying to push them back just a bit, but not able to get them back as the Booyah Bomb is going to displace a few members in mid.
Blue's doing a good job staying alive over there, but ganged by 3. Not exactly what you want to see. And we do see the Crab Tank in mid. Kraken's going to try and take that on. Manages to do it with the help of their teammate Vapor. 2 down on the side of Xpresso versus 1 down on the side of TZS. But the ground is very, very green, so this is a very advantageous situation for TZS. They're going to push up once those bombs explode and really try to get more turf into the enemy street.
Definitely, and that was a great defense coming out from Xpresso, pushing back the members of Triggerfish Zones. Tyser going down there to Mewtwo. Booyah Bomb coming out. Hermit underneath him, but does take out the Booyah Bomb. A great pick there from Hermit, but the basket does get broken, and they're going to need to rush back to defend that. They just get a few extra clams, setting that all the way down to 71. Not a massive push to start off, but definitely breaking that basket is allowing them to get that early lead coming out.
And we see that Kenja going down, the 2-pincher. Kraken can also try to flank around on the left with more clans, which if they had managed to get that in would have been really great. Kenja, I believe, is Brian, since Brian has a habit of changing his name. 1 down on each side of the field. Make that 2 down on the side of Xpresso. Pincher going to try and get a pick here. Forced to use Crab Tank though, and not in a great position because they're going to get rushed.
Definitely, Pincher just using that Crab Tank, trying to find any members they can. They do get pushed back by the rest of the members of Triggerfish Zone Supremacy, and Mewtwo here does have that machine. They're just sharking, they're just trying to find those people. Sees Pincher over there, gets 1 shot on them, does get a second, connects, taking them down. Inkbrush though sees Mewtwo and pushing them down. They go down as well, a player down on both sides. Now 2 players down on Triggerfish Zones. And now Hermit just looking to get a few more players down, but that Ink Storm is going to displace them and push them all the way back, and it's going to halt that movement towards the basket.
A very good defense there from TZS. The chip damage pulled up from both the Sloshers and the Rain is very strong here on this map. Vapor's going to have to back off a little bit, but 2 down on the side of Xpresso, one of them being taken out by the Whale from Kraken. It's looking pretty good for them, especially since Xpresso is getting staggered now. You can see the Booyah coming out from Moo. You can see that Brian is pushed up on the left. He's going to have to back off a little bit, though, because of that Fizzy. And mid is still very, very green. This is just not looking good for Xpresso unless they can really get a couple of picks. And as I say that, Triggerfish Zones goes 2 down. So this is really Xpresso's chance to move. But another crab from Pincher, not looking like they're able to find anyone, especially with at least 1 member behind them. Not what you want to see.
No, it's not, and they also went 2 players down. That's going to push that momentum they had going into mid. Now they're going to get pushed back, and it's going to be a bit more of a scrap in mid. And now that we're heading into the final minute of this match, Xpresso really needs to get some turf. They really need to get some control. They need to get these picks. They have 3 specials at the ready. We're seeing that 2 of them do get popped out now, and that's going to allow them to gain control of mid. But they need to do a little bit more and not get taken out like they did by Mewtwo there if they want to have a chance at taking this first game.
Yeah, 3 down. Mewtwo with an excellent pick on that crab really stops the momentum of Xpresso, and members of TZS are going to try and push in with crabs. Not crabs, on the brush. 2 down on the side of TZS, 1 down on the side of Xpresso, so it doesn't look like TZS is actually going to be able to make a push for the basket like they were attempting to. Beautiful pick there by Vapor. If they can only pick the bow, that would be really helpful.
Yeah, and the Booyah Bomb is going to push the bow even back even further. And now with only a few seconds on the clock, Vapor is going to shoot that basket in and get to end the overtime immediately, allowing Triggerfish Zone's Supremacy, with the whole rest of the name, to take the first game of round 1. man. I'm seeing all
When
those.
they're from TDS, we really do like seeing. And let's just talk about how great that comp was for defense. You've got the chip damage from the sloshers. You've got the chip damage from the rain. That's going to do really, really well for any sort of defense on Clam Blitz, especially considering that most people on Hagglefish, they don't take the right-hand flank to the basket. It's so long. Add into that Raizuka, which really helps you push people out from mid to the sides. And then the Brush, of course, being able to flank around very well. The Whale being able to displace people as well. It's a very, very solid defensive comp.
Definitely, and that's the sort of thing you can get from these unusual comps. So while your meta comps can be quite strong, when you're going against some of these off-meta comps, you kind of don't know what to expect. So it's very interesting to see how these teams play around that, and like it's kind of this push and pull mechanism that they really have to deal with and decide, well, what is the best type of play we can do? We have these weapons, how can we make the most momentum with that? And Triggerfish Zone Supremacy, they capitalized that on taking on game one, but now that Xpresso kind of knows how Triggerfish Zone Supremacy, how they kind of play, I'm curious to see if they're going to change up the type of playstyle they use coming into Splat Zone's Inkblot Art Academy.
Be interesting. I wouldn't expect to see Vapor swap off the Explosion. Kraken might swap off to something else. We can see that on the other side, the other team has not changed. No comp changes at all. Nope, sorry. One comp change. TZS has dropped the Vanilla Splatter Shot and picked up the T-Tech, which of course has the other Tri-Special, the Tri-Strike.
Tri-Strike definitely very good at moving away all players around the zone, particularly when you can easily shoot it on top of that mid-plat area in the middle of the zone. Mewtwo getting that early first splat there and just trying to pick off that crab as well, but going face. Oh, they do take the assist onto the crab. That was critical, and they're just gonna keep on ticking down those points down all the way down to 66. A great first possession of the zone, but now Xpresso have control and they're looking to set up shop. There were 2 players down. Triggerfish Zones might be able to retake the zone quickly.
Yeah, but that was a clutch pick on Kenja there, wide and low, able to sniff them out from the flank. Doesn't look like, though, the TZS is going to push back in very rapidly. The crab gets popped. Moo is down. 2 down on the side of TZS, 2 down on the side of Xpresso. They know that Kraken is over by the exit, so they're going to have to retreat a little bit. Beautiful pick there from the bow, a direct. Not exactly what you want to see if you're a sharking brush. And now Rico is going to play chicken with this Explosher. See if they can displace him a little bit.
Yeah, it was Arito definitely trying to find those players. Then 2 players down on Triggerfish Zone Supremacy is really going to allow Xpresso to gain a lot of control here. We're seeing that they're really starting to push up, trying to get those splats. The trade between the Ink Brush and the T-Tech there is going to allow them to keep on that control ongoing, pushing all the way down to 43 and to continue it going as well. Kraken here trying to get that spot, but no, goes down to Pincher, but Pincher goes down as well. And now with 3 players down on the side of Xpresso, that is going to be a zone flip over to Triggerfish Zone Supremacy.
Definitely unfortunate for Brian there, though, that he had popped his special already before the 3 down, because they could have definitely saved that Tri-Strike and managed to use it to take off enemies from the platform. Vapor down in the zone, gonna look like they're in a little bit of trouble. Yeah, the Whale's gonna get them. Such a slow-moving weapon, it's hard when you get displaced from that top tower. Something that any heavy backline is going to know very, very well. Hermit's gonna get that kill, and is gonna push up to the exit.
Yes, and now we're really seeing that Xpresso. They know what type of thing Triggerfish Zone Supremacy is, how they play, how they move around, and Xpresso is capitalizing on that. They're really pushing them back, and that Tri-Stringer is just being a menace at making sure that Xpresso doesn't come in. The double killer Whale locating them by the pincer attack, sending Triggerfish Zone's 3 players down, clearing that penalty, and now they've only got 10 points remaining. Triggerfish Zones need to head into the zone as soon as possible. They want to get a 3-2-1, and that is game 2 going to Xpresso.
Just barely, though. Because you notice that Mewtwo pulled down from a flank position and had managed to neutralize the zone just after the clock ticked 0.
Yeah, well, you can just see, you can kind of see in the blur there how purple that zone is. So close to flipping, so close to switching, but not close enough. Getting those 3 players down in the final 20 points remaining was really the type of thing that Xpresso needed, and what they got as reward was the game. Like, a pretty good reward if you ask me.
Very good lockout position from Xpresso at the end of that match. And Bo was such a good counter for Explosion because it does the same chip damage as Explosion, has an almost comparable amount of range, and is a lot more mobile. It's a medium-weight weapon versus a heavyweight weapon. It's going to do very effective against the stationary weapons like the Explosion, like E-Leader, or like Hydra, like Dynamo, assuming for the middle 2 that it can get into range.
Yeah, like and we saw how the Tri-String especially capitalized that once they were able to set up shop on top of the mid, I always forget what it's called, the mid pedestal in the middle of the zone. Like, once they set up shop there, it really allowed them to gain a large control onto Plat, because they can just keep on volleying over those explosive shots into the enemy's Plat and just keep on displacing them, keeping them on moving around, and just keep them on their toes. Really great use of the Tri-Stringer there on Splat Zone's Inkblot Art Academy. Now, we're up to, it's play all 3. But that doesn't mean we can head into game 3 with the score set of 1-1. Final game takes all of round 1. Tower control, Scorched Gorge. Shads, what do you think we're going to see here?
That'll be interesting. I don't really expect at this point Xpresso to change their comp. They stuck with it for clams and they stuck with it for Splat Zones. That comp's going to work pretty well here as well. Meanwhile, on the side of Triggerfish Zone Supremacy, not sure they could pick up a crab. Unlikely. Vapor's not going to swap off the Explosher, so they're not feeling, I guess they're not feeling too comfortable with the Rapid that I know that they've been working on yet. Kenjo, however, is going to drop the splatter shots entirely for a Gal, which I think is smart. Double Whale is very, very strong here and is going to do a lot better than both the Tri-Zuka or the Tri-Strike. Crab coming out very quickly from Xpresso, manages to find 1, but 2 down on the side of Xpresso. Make that 3 down. Kenjo coming up behind to clean up. Can they find the brush?
Just searching everywhere, but that brush is up and behind them. Hermit over here with the brush, just sitting behind enemy lines, trying to jump out, does get caught out there, and now Triggerfish Zones Promise is going to hop onto the tower and start to make their first push, but taking a lot of time. They lost a lot of valuable points there, but now Vapor here with the Explosion just getting pushed back now. But Xpresso, they came back into mid, and now they're ready to take control back. That tower only pushed to 88, not a very strong first push here, so a great defense from Xpresso. Pincher getting that split onto Mewtwo, and now, is that going to be 3 plays? No, it's a wipeout against Xpresso. Now Triggerfish Zone is going to continue on that initial push they had, heading into the first checkpoint.
Yeah, you saw very quickly that Xpresso popped their specials to try and push TCS down, but unfortunately it not work. Kenja is going to go down here. Mewtwo is just barely going to survive the Booyah armor. Not able to find 1, but 3 down on the side of TCS. Kraken is going to have to flee that tower. Not able to get away, but Kenja jumped in and is going to try and get through that checkpoint. Manages to do so. Now that's key, because that's going to make it easier for them to make their next push. But mid is turning yellow very quickly.
You're
Vapor is currently the furthest pushed up, which is not necessarily what you want to see from an Explosion, especially considering that his teammates could jump to him. But he's going to do an admirable job at least getting some chip damage on his friends, on his teammates, so his friends can come in and clean up. The Bow is going to try and see if they can pick anybody off here. Not able to enforce back by the range. Very good defensive special there. and the whale comes out. Able to find, it looks like, one, but Kenja with that flank again.
Kenja with the flank indeed, just constantly being a menace behind enemy lines. And now we're seeing Muti here with the machine, just trying to push off members using that fizzy bomb. And now a 1v1 machine battle off between the two of them. But Mewtwo gets caught out by Twister. Twister gets caught out by Kenja. And the killer whale is going to come out. And that's going to now allow Triggerfish Zones to gain some more control again over mid. And once more push that tower heading into the enemy's plat, and they're going to continue on their lead. Xpresso has not made much of a push here. They're still sitting at a 90 with no checkpoints cleared. Xpresso needs to get their defense going. They need to get picks. They need to get specials, because we've only got a minute 40 left on the clock. They don't have long left to do this.
Do have a crab out on the field, and it's pushed back pretty far, so they're not going to be able to really be in fear. Triggerfish down, Supremacy managing to pick it off, but 2 going down, 3 down on the side of Xpresso. Wipeout, it's a very delayed wipeout as well. Kenja's going to run up and spawn camp, which will probably make everybody on Splatoon Reddit mad at him. But hey, it wins the game, and it's doing great. Here comes another whale, the 2 down on the side of TZS. Beautiful double there. That might have actually saved that push.
Oh, but we have 1 on the tower. It's just going to push the tower back. But Kenja getting all those splats with the gal. Kenja's going to push up right and hard into the enemy's lines. But now with them being 3 players down, that might be the end of that push, with the tower going all the way to 1. The only way Xpresso can win this game with 40 seconds left on the clock is if they clear every single checkpoint and get the KO. That is the only way they can take this game and take round 1 of this set. We're seeing Tyster here with the machine, trying to get the members of Triggerfish Zones caught off guard, but now they know where they are. They're just trying. He does have the Booyah Bomb coming out, is gonna give him a little bit of control there. And now that first checkpoint is cleared. They're gonna head into the second checkpoint. 10 seconds remaining. We are going to be heading into overtime. Specials coming out. Booyah Bomb going onto tower. 2 players down on Xpresso. Kraken heads up to the tower and takes it. Then in game 2 into Triggerfish Zones Supremacy.
Play for both teams there. It was very interesting, especially to watch. So both teams are running double whale, but they used it very differently. Xpresso tended to use their whales simultaneously, so instead of having to dodge 6 laser beams, you had to dodge 12. Very good, got some really nice double splats there. TZS, meanwhile, launched them sequentially, so as soon as you're done with one, all of a sudden you're dodging another, which can delay you being able to take fights. Both are really great ways to use whale. It'll be interesting to see which one is going to be more common as the community gets more used to running double whale, because I do think that double whale is going to be more popular.
Yeah, definitely will become more popular. It's also very interesting because it's also a mind game like thing, because if you're getting a lot of specials that are directionally focused on you at once, it can really panic and really impact your decision making. So it's going to be also a mental mind game thing, that so if maybe if they know a team's going to panic more, they're more likely to do them at the same time. But if they maybe don't think, then maybe they might delay them. It's very much of, do you know your opponents? Do you know how they play? And that's going to really shape of how the future of Splatoon is going to go.
Yeah. So congratulations to TZS, and of course Xpresso did very well as well. I would expect both of them to do quite well as Nessie's Pools progresses. Next up, we are going to have Data versus Hot Dog.
Hot diggity dog.
Are you a hot dog person or a hamburger person?
I'm a hamburger person, but I feel like Australian hot dogs are different to what the hot dogs I've had in America. Actually, no, I'm thinking of sausage rolls. So no, hot dogs are the same, no matter what country you go to. I'm thinking of sausage rolls. But we'll have to go to that hot diggity dog match very soon. We'll be heading to a quick break. Don't go anywhere. You're watching SOS 95.
Welcome back to SOS 95. I am Shads, joined by DJam, and we are doing data versus hot dog. According to data gathered by my people, mustard is actually the most popular hot dog topping in America.
I say I would disagree, but then again, I'm not an American, so I don't have to agree.
So there is the Allie Squared team. We have Allie, which I believe is the support player. Allie with a heart, which is the scary Tetra player from Crustacean Crusaders. Texture, who I believe is the backline of the team. And then Dio, who used to be a very good Hydra player and then got bitten by this Flutomatic bug and went frontline.
It's a very, very contagious bug. I believe I've caught it as well, which is sad, but it's nice.
Yeah, meanwhile on Hot Dog we have Chase 24/7. Believe that they are a frontline player. Lit Blue plays, I want to say, Junior. Dragonif, Charger player, very good. And Latios, no relationship to the famous Latios from Australia. Latios plays Slayers.
Very, very different. And now we're going to see these two teams face off. Data versus Hot Dog, round 2. Museum di Alfonsino. And now we're going to start off to say yes, we do see some backline come out from both sides. Although, is this going to be seen? Oh, what is this? The backline's face off immediately and trade. What a way to start this match. And starting off with 2 players down on each side as well.
Correctly, but we do see that Blue has pulled out a crab. Theo is going to pull out their own crab, so we have crab fight. Theo's going to win that virtual popping their crab. Second, 1 down on each side of the field. 1 special on the line for a hot dog. It is, of course, their Trizuka. We have very similar special comps coming out. We have a Trizuka from both teams. We have an Inkjet, and we have we have a crab from both teams. Backline, we have E-Leader versus Ballpoint. Normally, the E-Leader would win that fight based on range, but since Museum has so much cover, it's possible for the Ballpoint to get in a lot closer to the E-Leader. And, well, you don't want to get close to it. Have somebody close to you if you are an E-Leader. And then, of course, Ali on the Tetras, which has Reef Slider, but can work very well on the seat. Double there for Latios. Almost a triple, but the Ballpoint manages to jump out. Dragonif is going to pick up the Rainmaker, which is smart. You want the backline to carry the Rainmaker if you have one. 1 down on the side of Hot Dog, though. You can see that Texture is up on the top right, hoping to see if they can get a couple of picks. The Rainmaker popped in favor of Hot Dog, and Brock is going to grab it again. Forced to back off because of that auto bomb. Oh, and here it comes both the Inkjet, the Tetris behind that. 2v2 on the field.
2v2, and now we're seeing that with Data is popping off that Rainmaker and allowing jumps to come in. It's going to allow Data to regain a lot of control, but they've lost a lot of points in the process. Going all the way down to 35 is a great first push coming out from Hot Dog, especially since they cleared that first checkpoint as well. It's going to set them in a great position. Only 2 minutes into this match, and they've got 2 specials at the ready as well. Inkjet coming out does get the splat onto Dragon, but they get taken out. And 2 players down again on both sides.
Yeah, this is going to be a lot of quick fights, a lot of bloody ones. You've got very fast-moving weapons. You've got the Tetris, you've got the Wiper, you've got the Splash. Those are going to get lots of kills. Ali's going to be forced to jump out to their other Ali friend. And staying in mid is going to be very good for the Tetras. Instead of having to swim back from mid, they're just able to get back right into the action.
Yeah, definitely knowing where your teammates are and being able to capitalize that on jumping out of dangerous positions and then just not having to wait between going spawn and the back to mid, knowing where they are, can be some really great plays. But the Ballpoint, it does get taken out by the Ela, and that's 3 players down on the side of Data. Hot Dog is now looking to make yet another push. Getting those 3 players down is really going to allow them, and getting this crab out as well is going to allow them to get a lot of control. Only chip down 3 more points onto their lead, but the push isn't, I was going to say isn't over yet, but with 3 players down, that is a push over. Make that a soft wipe, and Data looking to head and get their first push going of their own.
Yeah, you can see that they've got specials ready. The Tetra's going down, but Data is going to manage to get this checkpoint even though they go 2 down. That definitely makes things easier. Chase not able to pick up a second one. 3 down low on the side of Data thanks to their teammates. Latios not able to get to pick on Ali. Lidlu's going to have to come back in and clean that up. So a soft wipe on the side of Data. And the map's going to get very pink again, which you really want, especially with a Wiper that thrives with lots of states.
Yeah, Wiper can just come out and Louis splat you. It's a ninja in disguise. Liplu getting that splat onto Ali. Rainmaker is going to reset, but that crab sitting right next to the Rainmaker is going to be able to push back the members of Data once again. 50 seconds left on the clock, but Data also has 3 specials at the ready. They're using off that crab, trying to find that member of Latios, but they do get taken out by the Trizuka now. 40 seconds left on the clock. 2 specials left alive on the side of Data. Latios trying to push up, but they do get spotted out by that Ballpoint. And now they're just sitting there, sitting on the rotator, sharking around, trying to find some plays. Get a little bit of damage onto Dio, does take them out, do drop down. Now 20 seconds left on the clock. Data needs to get a push going soon if they want to take this first game, but getting 2 players down. Hot Dog is looking in a great position, and they're going to take the Rainmaker back all the way down to spawn, and Data need to chase them quick, and that's I think they gave me a heart attack there jumping into the water, but I guess if you look at the timer, you'll be fine, I guess. If that
points, take it back. Valid strategy, very annoying but very effective considering that once you get that far back, the only thing in this game that can catch it is a killer whale or missile, and both of those aren't necessarily great at getting splats on their own.
No, I was just if they mistimed that by a second and it went into overtime,
it would have been hilarious.
It would have been hilarious. That would have been the clip of the tournament if that happened right then and there.
Yeah, so Hot Dog is gonna go 1-up over Data, but next stage, Brinewater Springs with Clam. So this is gonna be fun. E-leaders have a field day here. There is a lot of open area, not a lot of cover. And Drak is going to have a lot of fun. However, on the flip side, it's also very exposed. It's within the range of a ballpoint. And there's enough cover in mid for the ballpoint to really get at it. Plus, if anybody manages to get underneath that ledge, it's going to be really hard for any sort of person, backline or otherwise, to sit up there. Pro tip, if you ever need to unseat somebody up there, bomb spam like crazy. If you have a zip caster, just zip cast up behind them. You will force them to move. And then your teammates can run in and really take advantage of that.
Yeah, like that's the other thing with Brinewater Springs, because it's such a short map, and even then it's short, but it's square like in manner, so it can be really, really quick to push up into the enemy. So even if you do get that backline set up, you can get someone flanking in like if it's already turfed up, you can get there in 2 seconds. Like it's real quick if you're not ready for it.
Yeah, like size-wise and geography-wise, it kind of reminds me of a combination between Muscle Forge and Gobi. Just infinitely more enjoyable to play on than either of those maps. Of course, that means that any of your ledge camping weapons are going to be very good here. Your rollers, your sloshers, your blasters. Not that we see a ton of roller sort of blasters, but it would be fun to see.
It would be fun to see. I'm just trying to see if are we going to see any of those come out. We do see the sloshing machine as the only ledge camping weapon, but we are going to see a bit of a change in comp here. Texture opting out to go with that ballpoint and go for a little bit less range with that mini splatling, and then the E-leader getting changed back for just a regular splat charger, which is going to give them that ink back, which can be quite good at pushing.
Yeah, that can be very good here at the bottom of hill when you're making a push. It can help stop people at clams. Also of note, Chase has stolen Allie's Tetras, and Allie is on the sloshing machine now. One down on the side of Hot Dog. 2 specials on the ready for that Teambo. You can see that the back got used, the Reef Slider got used. One down on each side of the field. Of course, one just respawned. Here comes a Trizuka, not able to find any... Well, never mind, it did manage to find somebody, just not Allie, who is now the only one left alive and is really trying to get some picks here. Manages to get one bow, crucial pick on the splash. Not able to find a second one bow. Latios is going to come around behind and get more clams in.
Great use of the ink line there. Latios getting them caught off guard, and that basket is just going to stay open. Latios just constantly getting clams in, just slowly delaying it to allow the members of Hot Dog to push up and continue on getting those clams in. They're already down to 14 points remaining, which is an incredible first push, but now Data has regained control of mid. They've got control, and now they're looking at setting up Dio here with the crab, just pushing back the members of Hot Dog, but gets caught out by the splat charger.
Really good from Draco. Well, they're coming around on the side to have a better shot at picking off the crab. It's very hard to get the pick on the crab from the front, but from the side it's a lot easier because it's just not as protected. Trizuka is going to come out as well. You can see that bombs are coming out to try and camp the charger. Manages to find on that fizzy bomb thrown, of course, by Ali. One of them, anyways. And here comes the Booyah. The bubble is out as well. Very smart use there, having it right underneath the basket. And a double power clam in, so here comes lots more clams.
Indeed, getting it all the way down to 48, and now we're seeing that they are getting splats. the Spider Shot getting some more clams in as well, and the machine just heading up, trying to throw some clams into mid. Dio getting that spot onto Chase, but the crab coming out is going to push back the members of Data and gonna end that push. Data needs to get more pushes going. They need to collect more clams. They need to get more specials, and they need to get a lot of control over mid if they want this set.
They have the painting power to do it. Between the mini and the splash, they can outpaint both the splatter shot and the splash on the other team. Tetras will paint a comparable amount to the sloshing machine. And while the Charger doesn't necessarily have as much painting power as it used to, it's not going to outpaint half the weapons on Data. So really, if they can just get the picks and keep mid-yellow, they're going to be in a very strong position. Of course, as I say that, here comes the Tri-Strike. Trizuka from Latios manages to get 2, and then comes the Crab.
Manages to get 2, manages to get 3, and now Hotdog is looking to make another push going. Letters, they do have some more clams at the ready. We're going to see that restarter going to come in, and now that penalty is nearly cleared. They just need just a few more clams. There we go, some more clams coming in. But with all the members sent back to spawn, Data's chance at getting a counter push has returned. They do have another pity clam in reserve now, and they as well have that other clam that's in mid getting hold by that player. And now Data is just looking to find this fix. The crab coming out, Trizuka coming out. They're looking at getting fixed. They're looking at get a push going. 2 players down, make that 3. And the clam is moving up and goes into the basket. And there we go. It's so close to getting the lead. They just need a few more clams. Then there we go.
Yeah, Texture does have enough to end this game right now. They're going to be smart and back off. Really, you don't want to force something that close to the end of the game, especially because a full wipe at this point in time is probably going to end very, very badly for Data. So now they're just going to grind specials. They're going to try and keep the members of Hotdog out of mid. Here comes the crab from Hotdog. They're going to try and push in with that. Chase moving up as well. They have the reslider ready. Not able to find anyone with it, though. The Booyah comes out as well. Not able to find anybody with that. Here comes the vacuum, which is going to make it very hard for the members of Data to push in. 3 down on the side of Data. 1 down on the side. And Hotdog's going to get this.
And there we go, Hotdog retaking that control over mid, retaking all those clams they had, and just getting game 2 into their favor. But don't forget, this is a play all 3, so regardless that the score is set 2-0, we will still be heading into game 3, which will be Splat Zones Hagglefish Market.
Really smart use there at the end from Dracula with the Inkvac. That is one of Inkvac's strong suits. It's great for Rainmaker as an escort because it essentially forms a moving shield around it. But it's also really great on clam stages like this one, where the basket is located at the end of a lot of high ground because you don't have to worry about the shots coming down from above.
Yeah, like we saw that was as you said, a great use of the Inkvat, but also some great uses coming out from the Reef Slider as well. Just being able to, I noticed that pretty much most of the time that Reef Slider was popped in an aggressive play, that it was going past the basket, and that spot area past the basket is generally where you'll find all of those opponents. But sometimes you do get punished by that, so it's very much you got to identify, is this a safe time to push this? And when you're getting such a large momentum going, it definitely can be safe to do so.
Using Reef Slider like that, best case scenario, you get 1 or 2. Maybe you get the key person on the other team that's giving your team the most problem. Maybe that's the backline, maybe that's the crab. Worst case scenario, you don't get anyone and you're behind them, which means at the very least, some of your teammates have to turn around to deal with the person behind you. You're at least distracting a couple people. But moving on to Hagglefish zones, we see changes again. We have Tetras on Tetra action, Ally picking up the Tetras again. We have Trizuka versus Tri-Strike with the Battle of the Shots. And then, of course, we're back to the ballpoint and E-leader. And the splash is coming out. We have a good old-fashioned crab fight in mid, supporting from the Trizuka. no one's going to be able to find anyone. Although Allie looks like making that 2 down on the side of Data. Not from any special though, just good old-fashioned main weapon kills.
Classic. And we're seeing that hotdog does take first possession of the zone, making use of the 2 players down that they had earlier, and now Chase with the the Tetra Julies is going to push up further, but now dropping down there, they're going to have to move back and regain control. Draco here just trying to find those members, trying to find those players, and being an E-leader there, they're just going to be a constant pressure, but they get taken out by the Trizuka, and now the 3 players down on the side of Data. Hotdog is going to continue this push ongoing. They're all the way down.
Down to 21 points remaining. Data, of course, with 2 down, not good. They're not going to have time to build specials. They're just going to have to rush in. And you can see that some of the members of hotdog are falling back to zone to really hold it. 1 down on the side of Data. 3, 2, 1. And that is a very clean 100-0 knockout for hotdog.
Wow, what a quick cap and slam coming out from Hot Diggity Dog. Setting the score 3-0. Great plays all round. Getting that initial 2 players down really allowed hotdog to get that initial control over mid and push up, and then getting that additional 3 players down with that flank onto plat just secured that game into their favor.
Yeah, ideally I would have loved to see the game last longer, purely because I wanted to see more Tetra on Tetra fights. It's always so much fun when you see 2 Tetras going at each other, because it's very rare.
Especially dodge rolling.
And it's also very rare when you have 2 competent people running the Tetras. So that would have been interesting, but hotdog obviously just wants to move on to the next match and see if they can work their way towards securing Great White brackets.
Well, after seeing what they pulled from this match, they are definitely in a good position to do so. But before we head into any of those top higher brackets, we do have one more round of the pools, but that's not ready just yet. You saw how quickly that match hit. We're going to go to a quick break. You're watching Swim or Sink 95. Hello everyone and welcome back to Swim or Sink 95. I'm DJM98 and I'm joined by the lovely Shads for round 3 of the Nessie's pools. We have Black. I was about to read that name, then it disappeared. We have Black. No, that's not what we have. There we go. Black Komodo versus NKT Definitivo on Mako My Tower Control. Shads, what do you think we're going to see out of these teams?
I really don't know. So I'll be honest, the only thing that I remember about NKT Definitivo is that Brian has been on it for a long time. Black Komodo, I want to say Devil plays Gal, but I'm not sure.
I know Aplo plays Backlight because I did LPDC with him literally last weekend. So I know exactly what they play as we head into round 1. Tower Control, Mako, Mart. Let's see what these two teams bring to the battle.
Yeah, so quickly loading in here, we have Launch on the E-Leader and Apple Spark on the E-Leader, so a little bit of E-Leader on E-Leader action. We've got Double Crab, and it looks like a Tri-Strike coming out as well from Black Komodo. Meanwhile, on the side of NKT Definitivo, of course, we have the E-Leader, but we also have... Sorry, that's the team that has the Double Crab. Black Komodo has Single Crab, Booyah, and Bubbler.
Double Crab, definitely, they wanted to go and lead into the meta side of things we have here. But Black Komodo also, they do have that Junior, which is going to provide that big pubbler. NKT Kozo looking to try and sharpen the members, but not managing to get any picks there. They do jump out wisely as Black Komodo do head into the first checkpoint. Crab sitting onto the tower, which is just going to push back Launch, but Launch picks them off from the Crab. And that's going to be the first checkpoint as well, going into the Black Komodo's favor, pushing that tower even further to the second checkpoint.
Yeah, Lance is not able to find Apple on this tower. Apple is doing a good job dancing around the objective, trying to dodge them. 3 down low on the side of Black Komodo, 1 down on the side of NKT, so that is going to quickly flip the map back in favor of the orange team.
Yes, NKT now have a lot of control and they're looking to set up shop. They do have one of the crabs at the ready, and that's going to be popped off onto the enemy's breakfast area, just pushing back the members of Black Komodo as NKT look to head into that first checkpoint. A player down on the side of the Komodos as they do clear off that first and to continue on pushing. Tauchi here just being a menace on the top of the enemy's breakfast area, taking that splat onto Cody, looking to get that other to Devil, but they do get a splat onto Aplo and get the assist onto Ember as well. That's 3 players down on the Komodos as NKT look to continue on getting that push here, but Devil is going to try and defend them, but getting pushed on every direction is going to send that Crab going to the underworld.
Yeah, and 2 down on the side of Black Komodo. Oh, that is not going to be very good for them. They want to really see if they can get the tower back in their favor, because they're going to have a lead flip very soon. And that's to say that here comes NKT takes the lead with 16 points, but it's 3 down. Lance, of course, being the last one remaining. Looks like they're going to back up to their stack, which is smart. You don't want to be out in no man's land as an E-Leader with all your teammates dead. That's just asking for you to get splatted. Cody's going to try and set up on the enemy stack, but Bob's going to find them, which is a very strong pick. You don't want to have an enemy on the stack. It's going to be hard for you to really push back in with somebody there. 2 down low on either side of the field. Devil, of course, going to be 1v1 down. Yeah, Machine versus T-Tech, I believe. Neither of them are looking too interested in fighting each other well.
No, they're just looking to paint up and just get their special charge up, because that's the best thing to do when you got a lot of members down on the field, is to really gain up that turf and just get your special ready, because that's the best type of thing you can do, and just pop that spell gem. And now I'm going to see Ember there with that Booyah Bomb. He's going to throw that over there, but is not going to catch anyone around. But Cody gets a takeout by launches E-Leader there, and now we're going to see that Komodo hops onto the tower again. They want to retake the lead back into their favor, but with 3 players down, that push is not going anywhere. And now with just over a minute left onto the clock, this match is so close. They both have 1 checkpoint remaining and only 6 points separating them.
Yeah. Of course, specials at the ready for NKT. Just used a wave breaker. They've got a crab. They've got Trizuko, 1 down on the side of Komodo. They have their Booyah and Bubble ready, but not close to the other ones. The crab coming out, seeing if they can get a pick off of somebody. Second crab coming out as well. The Trizuko, the Tri-Strike going for the plat to make for the delayed enemy coming back in. Caustic is going to see if they can get a pick here. Manages to find 1. Manages to find 2. Nice use of the squid roll there. Ember is going to come in and clean up behind that bow, but they drop, which is not what you want to see. Their teammate is going to help them out to a 3 down for NKT.
And this is definitely looking for a good setup as long as Black Komodo, they capitalize on that because they need to get this push going. Big Bubbler gets popped onto the tower, but with 2 players down, that might not be the opportunity they were looking for. Booyah Bomb onto tower. NKT, they don't take the tower, and the push continues. 3 dancing around on the splash is down on the side of NKT, but 2 players down. There's just 1 player left on the tower, and they go down, and that is the first game of the set going to NKT Definitivo.
Very, very close game. So let's just bring attention to something I'm not sure everybody knows. Most, if not all, of Black Komodo is considered low ink eligible. They're considered low level. Some of them are in launch point. They can play in low ink. NKT is considered a mid-level team at worst, if not in the lower echelon of the high-level community. So the fact that Black Komodo is able to keep up with them, that is pretty impressive.
Yeah, definitely. Being able to hold their own against such a ferocious attack and such menacing powers is a great testament to their name. And it's going to be really interesting to see how they're going to bring this onto Rainmaker Mincemeat Metalworks. Now, what I really find interesting about this stage is the routes you can take. Like, you have, obviously, you got the primary route is what I like to call it, which is going around right. It's the safest route in Mincemeat, and it's the safest route you can go no matter what whatever mode you play. But Mincemeat, you can't forget about the greats to mid. It's a quick way to get it, and if you can capitalize it and get that jump, that's a lot of points very quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. So one thing with Mincemeat, both these teams are running E-Leader. E-Leader on the snipe area can kill pretty much anybody in mid for most of the map. It turns what is normally a very fast and chaotic mode into a complete stalemate. So really for both these teams, if they stick with E-Leader, to really focus on getting that anchor down, because once the anchor is down, not only do they lose, the other team lose the range advantage, suddenly this giant stalemate snowballs into a chaotic rush for checkpoints.
Yeah, especially with Rainmaker. Anytime you can get that Rainmaker and get that push going, just getting a few points can really make all the difference sometimes. Like, I can't even begin to count the amount of times I've seen the Rainmaker stopped and they just needed 1 or 2 more points. And now, as we head into game 2, and we're going to see that double splash come out again, but we're going to see that NKT Definitivo is going to trade off that E-Leader for a splatter scope, while Aplo does keep that E-Leader on Black Komodo. Is definitely a interesting change up between these two teams here.
options. Lanch is going to be a lot more mobile with that splatter scope. You can see that they are actually down on the ground. They do have a better capability of defending themselves at close range. Not by much. Granted, it is a charger after all, but they have the bomb, which can turn some situations where it would be a straight-up kill into a trade. And you can see that they are managing to get close enough to Aplo in order to get kills. Just like that. A trade there for sure. But with 2 down on NKT, Devil's going to pop the crab, see if they can pick up another one. Looks like with people outing from the back, there might be somebody behind. And yeah, Devil's getting shot at from behind.
And a great play, managing to stay alive there. Devil also gets splat onto Ubu, and now Devil is looking to push up hard into NKT's base. They're getting that damage in. They're looking at just keeping that in, and being able to push so far has allowed Black Komodo to get a secure first checkpoint clear. But now with 2 players down on the side of Black Komodo, NKT Definitor is looking to regain a lot of control over mid and start to make a counter push of their own. We're going to see that crab also coming out from NKT Definitor, but they also have a tri-strike at the ready, but the Rainmaker does go down.
Yeah, Lanch here is really weak. Lanch is going to pick up the Rainmaker, but you can see that E-Leader really pushed up. Devil's going to drop behind him, manages to get one, not able to get the second one, but a teammate comes in to clean it up. The Booyah coming out as well, going to force the other members off of the truck. Lanch manages to pick off the machine, which is very key, and you can see that the jumps are coming in as well for NKT, so they will get this checkpoint here. Bomb manages to pick 2 off though, so probably what they're going to have to do here is back up. Unless they can get a 2-down situation, I don't really see how they can continue this push.
No, and that push is over indeed. Aplo picks up the Rainmaker. Devil looking to get some splats, but they ended up being an assist trade-off there as the big bubbler gets popped. Splats going down. Black Komodo now 3 players down, and that Rainmaker is going to shut down as well. And now, while it was a great stop there from Black Komodo, NKT Definitive, they've managed to they've grabbed the Rainmaker, they've taken the lead, and they've pushed it all the way down to a 35. They get the wipeout, but 35 is a good push. Getting over that hump as well is going to allow them to get a lot of control.
5 is a good push, but it's certainly not unbeatable on this map. You can see that the 2 members of Black Komodo have really pushed up as well to try and get members of NKT as they come out of spawn. They're not able to get more than trades though, so probably this push isn't going to go much anywhere, but it is good to get the Rainmaker back into mid. Ember is the only one currently up for Black Komodo, the others are respawning and jumping in, and so they're just going to stay up on the platform now, drop down to deal with 1. Not able to find anyone so far, and back in that corner, not where you want to be as anyone, especially not a machine.
Especially not a machine. Kozix here just sharking on top of that uninkable area. Does get that splat onto Aplo and just trying to pick some more players off. They do see that other player and they skirmishing out between the 2. The crab gonna come out and just using the baller to try and get that shit damage down, but they don't get the splat. Devil taking that splat onto them and then getting the splat onto as well. And now they have 2 specials at the ready. Crab gets popped out, but Launch takes out the crab with the splatter scope. That is a critical play.
Yeah, Lanchville really pushed up, and have to know that machine was working down there, but that pop's going to take care of another beautiful pick there. They have to know that somebody is coming from the left-hand side as well. Ooh is going to really push. Devil's going to push up, sorry. Lanch, keeping cool under being rushed, manages to get the pick.
Getting that 3 splat streak is incredible for a splatter scope, and getting that trade-off between Cody and the Rainmaker, heading into the final 20 seconds. Oh, that's going to really allow NK to get that Rainmaker and push it even further.
Yeah, down to 27, you can see that Ulu is really trying to stay alive here. Manages to get it very close, not quite able to get the knockout, but that of course just makes Black Komodo's job infinitely harder. They have to get the pop, they have to know that 2 members are right there, and the crab coming out manages to get the pick before it can even get anywhere.
Yeah, not managing to clear out the members in their flat area. allowed NKT Definitivo to grab that second game from right under their nose in quite a literal sense, just sitting there hiding and taking them out before they had a moment to push in overtime.
Absolutely love it to see such a dominant play there at the end from NKT. So, Black Komodo not winning the set. Who would win the last game? And given how close these two games have been, totally possible with Clam Blitz.
Yeah, Clam Blitz, Inkblot Art Academy, definitely. It's a very I personally enjoy it. I really like how many options there are to push towards the basket. You've got your routes that are open in all the other modes as well, but you've got your ramp up straight into the basket, which can be is probably the most common route that the Power Clams go in, and it allows some very aggressive pushes, and I'm really expecting to see Devil to constantly push right up into their face and just constantly get those splats.
Yeah, honestly, I think one of the best improvements on stages that came from S2 to S3 is the changing from the step to the ramp on it. Clam Blitz for Inkblot, it really helps a lot of pushes that before would have been shut down because you have to jump up the steps to get through. And conversely, it also makes it easier to use certain specials like Crab, like Vacuum to push in, whereas with the step, they would have had a little bit more trouble. Vacuum, I do think, has a very nice niche here on this map for aggressive plays. It's great for defense, it's great for offense, even though Vacuum, you technically see it more often in Rainmaker than anything else.
Yeah, it's definitely Inkvac is, throughout the entire time we've been having Splatoon 3, it's been very much push and pull over the Inkvac, whether it's been good as opposed to some of the other specials of the game. Of course it's good, but whether or not it outweighs the benefits and drawbacks that some of the other specials have, it's been all over the social media. I've seen so much discussion over, is this good, is this viable? And now we're starting to see a bit more going, what are we, 4-5 months into this game? Having this meta develop, and it's still developing today. It's just really, really interesting to see.
Yeah, it really is. Even though you do still see the common, you see the double crab, the triple crab, you see the double crab machine. It is nice to see that people are starting to explore a bit more with the other specials. So we do see that on the side of NKT, they're going to keep the back. Meanwhile, on the side of Black Komodo, they've swapped over from Charger to Explosher. Talon has subbed in for them. They're using the brush, and then they're keeping the splash and the machine. Strong special comp there. They're going to have a great time defending with that Explosher and all the chip damage from the two Splashers and the burst bombs. Meanwhile, NKT is going to stick with the double crab, tri-strike, that comp that they were using last game. Talon not able to get all of that whale off before getting splatted, and a 3 down for Black Komodo. NKT is going to really start moving here.
They are, and move indeed they do, bursting open that basket, and they're just going to get those early clams going in, getting the score all the way down to 65, but now with 2 players down on the side of NKT Definitivo, Black Komodo is going to look at regaining mid, regaining control of those clams, and get those specials charged up and ready to fire, getting that splat onto Uwu as well. Gets 2 players down the Black Komodo. Suddenly, all of that control they had over mid has gone in an instant.
Yeah, Callan is able to get a ball in and manages to almost get out. Devil's going to get a pick. One's going to come up behind him, though. Picks him off. Apple, if they're smart, will stay in mid. The Charger is up in the attic. They're not going to want to really challenge that too much unless they can get into that nice position there underneath the ramp where it's very hard for the Charger to pick them off.
Hard for the Charger to pick them off, but easy for the Explo to just constantly still do the damage, managing to keep the basket open for just a smidgen longer, setting the score all the way down to 41. They do grab that pity clam there, but with no one in the basket, there's not going to be any jumps available to them as that basket does close up now, and a pity clam does spawn for NKT.
Yeah, Charter is going to be marked there by the Xplosher for their teammates to sniff out. Crabbo going to try and help defend their teammate. The vacuum coming out. The Booyah is going to get shredded by that Crab. Very smart use there. You don't want that Booyah coming out. 2 down on the side of Black Komodo. Callan is going to flank, manages to get the whale off, and really forces NKT to scatter, which is smart. You can see that the members of NKT are hunting for him. They know that they're over on the left.
They know they're there, and they just want to get the picks. And the picks they get. Tauchi getting that splat onto Callan, getting the splat onto Ember as well. 3 players down. Make that a against Black Komodo as NKT pushes the basket, clearing their penalty and getting more clams in. They still need 2 more clams if they want to take the lead, and 2 clams go in. That is the lead taken, and a few more clams to top it off indeed. But they still have a lot of control of the plat. The splatterscope is going to be a menace. Still pushing that. Ember caught in the unink. 20 points remaining, but with 2 players down and Black Komodo having control back over mid. That is going to be the end of that push coming out from NKT Definitivo as Black Komodo now have the opportunity to gain control. They have 2 specials at the ready, but no! Launch getting that splat not only onto the explosion, but taking out a special as well. That is a critical splat.
Yeah, they're gonna get the Xplosher on the jump in too, which is not really what you want to see if you're that Xplosher. 3 down on the make it a wipe on the side of Black Komodo. And really what they've just done there is they've given NKT a free clam, especially because they were able to build one very quickly. We don't have to worry about any penalty. The vacuum coming out really helping with the offense there. That's a beautiful spot for vacuum on this map. The Crab coming in as well. 2 down bow on the side of NKT, 2 down on the side of Black Komodo. So this is going to be very stalematey again. They have to get picks. Those Crabs are going to charge up very quickly on the side of NKT. Courtesy of the fact that splashes paint a ton, and with more specials getting closer and closer, we might really see an all specials available and of 8 specials being used in near succession. But just as I say that, 1 going down on the side of Black Komodo, their Crab, which they really need to push in. Aplo is stuck out in no man's land in the mid, but 1 member of NKT going down as well. The Baller Crab coming in, manages to get 2 with 18 seconds remaining, and here comes more power clams from NKT.
Oh, here comes the jump. Is the jump gonna dunk it in? And they do, and they dunk it, and the game is theirs. NKT Definitivo take Game 3, a absolute wipeout, knockout, slam, dunk on the set, and that is them clearing round 3 of the Nessie pools. Wow. They absolutely dominated over that set. I believe in that last game, Black Komodo, they only really got 1 push going, and even then, that push wasn't extremely strong. So NKT Definitivo really managing to nail that aggressive play, and even still managed to get those defensive plays coming out as well, has really allowed them to get every single one of these games during the set. And I would not be surprised if we see them going into the Great White.
Yeah, but Black Komodo is definitely going to be a team to watch out for because they're playing very well already. Give it a couple of bumps and some polishing, and I think they'll be able to beat NKT easily.
Definitely. But while the Nessie pools may be over, the bracket is far from over. We still have this is just the pools. We still got the rest of the bracket to go, but that won't be too long. We'll be back with the rest of Swim or Sink 95 in just a moment. Don't go anywhere.
Welcome back to Swim or Sink 95. I am Shaz, joined by D-Dem, and we are about to start our Great White Bracket. We have Legato versus ewgf. I'm not sure how to pronounce that.
Oof. I don't know. That's just a shot at. I don't know. How would you say? Oof. What's that image as well?
I'm just gonna call them. I think I'm just gonna call them Ew. Legato, pretty good team. Tugster, been around the community for a while. Crash plays Roll Wars, I believe. Not sure about Kubia or Typhlo. I haven't seen them play since one of their Slayers, Gray, left, so it's going to be interesting to see how they do, but obviously they're still performing very well since they made it into Great White.
Definitely. From Eel, we got Nanaji, Kastruck, and I don't know if I'm assuming the And is a player, and Zenith is what I'm assuming. And for Sans, right. Interesting.
Good old-fashioned boss letter of the alphabets.
Of course. Why make things easy when you can make things hard, am I right?
I mean, it could be worse. Nobody has named themselves Iris wristwatches yet.
You had to say
and
it.
Lord willing, nobody will in this tournament.
Although what we do have in this tournament is Flounder Heights Splat Zones. We see Legato in yellow, Ilf in blue, and we're gonna start off to see Legato going with that crab, as well as going with a Nautilus with the flings and the T-Tech. And from the Eel, we do have that E-Leader and Sloshing Machine, as well as the Wiper and Splash.
Yeah, Tug is going to get the first crab of the game and manages to almost paint over the enemy zone with it. But it's quickly turning very blue as well. One down on the side of Legato, one down on the side of Ewk. And the zones are going to stay neutral. Ampersand is going to stick into that crab for a bit, not able to find anyone. And the E-Leader is going to try and see if they can get a pick. The Wavebreaker is out as well to see if they can get some shit damage off on people. Not able to find anyone, but Legato is staying very far back. The Tri-Strike comes out, manages to neutralize zone, doesn't manage to cap it though, and Zenith is going to hop up with that Splatana, hoping to see if they can get a pick on somebody.
Yes, and now a minute into the match, and finally we have a first proper possession over the zone, with Eel taking that first capture, and now we're seeing that crab is going to be trying to get that splat from above. Missiles is going to displace those members, as well as Control gets lost and sent into neutral. A player down on either side, and the Nautilus is going to go down to that E-Leader there. But they need to get a lot more control if they want to get that zone into their favor. But Legato not capping it does lose control, and Eel is going to continue going on with their push, getting all the way down to 55 and counting down further.
Yeah, Typhlo not managing to place that last Tri-Strike very well, manages to catch it on the wall, so it's not going to go into the zone at all, but it looks like they're going to go for a flank, forcing that crab hurdle up, and manages to help cap the zone. So that's a nice penalty of 45 points on Ewk, and then Legato is going to move into a possession mode. They're going to try and get the lockout. They have to watch out for the Charger, who's going to be up on that balcony area. Anybody over there is going to be easy picking. And there looks like there's a flank coming out from the machine half on the side of Ewk. Yes, that is them in the back of Legato's zone.
A great flank there. Getting that Booyah Bomb immediately allowed them to flip the zone into their favor, but that Booyah Bomb also pointed out to the members of Legato where that flank was coming from, and they're just trying to get that splat coming up from the grates, but not able to get that grass there. Uses the flings there to get that 10 missiles to fire and displace the members of Eel. And zone again once more in neutral, but Legato need to take this zone if they want to get that lead, but they don't, as Eel take the zone once again, and they get the splat with that burst bomb, and they're gonna get a second splat because no Tugster taking that splat away from them.
Really important since Tug has the only special on the line at the moment. Their teammate does manage to get one as well, but that crab very quickly shredded by both the hammer and the E-leader. 2 down on the side of Uke, 1 down on the side of Legato. I believe that was the T-Tech. So now it's be another back and forth where the members of Uke are going to have to try and flank around to get onto that high ground. One of the reasons why Flounder is a bit controversial in the community right now, the attacking team has the high ground, so it makes it hard for the defending team to push in. Half, of course, they have seen them with the point sensor, manages to kick off Kubiya, and the Booyah Bomb coming out go towards the bridge, hoping to see if they can pick somebody off of it. Do manage to get the splash, so this is going to be a zone flip in the favor of Uke.
Absolutely, getting that Booyah Bomb onto the bridge allowed for an easy, quick control over that bridge area and all over the apple, is getting them control of the zone. And now they're going to show what you just said earlier, that you do have a lot of control when you have control of the zone, because you do have that high ground to take advantage of. But Legato isn't going to make that an easy continuation, as they do cap the zone, giving Eel a bit more of a penalty they need to chew through to get their game in their favor. But now Legato looking to get that zone into their favor, does get 2 splats there, and that's 3 players down on the side of Eel. And now Legato are looking to get this set into their favor. 13 seconds left on the clock. They need a hold, and they need a hold for a while. They want to get this game.
Yeah, you can see the Booyah coming out, and that's a wipeout on the side of Legato. So it's not going to let Legato take this set. Very unfortunate there for Legato, going 4 down, 2 specials right at the end.
Yeah, that wipeout was... They had such a large control, but over that whole entire... They were pushing up, but just getting wiped out all at the same time allowed the members of Eel just to gain control, and then, well, they're wiped. You can't do much against it if you get a full-on wipeout, and they get game 1 into their favor.
Yeah, it's just really unfortunate when that happens, because the members of Legato did have specials ready. They definitely could have fended off that push in from Uke if they had managed to stay alive, but it looks like a combination of the strike and the Booyah managed to pick them off. So now here's where things get a little tricky for Legato, because if they lose 1 more, they're out of the tournament. We are no longer in play all 3. This is now best of sets. So they're going to have to go for a reverse sweep, and they're going to start on Tower Control, Sturgeon Shipyard.
Yeah, it's actually it's kind of similar to Flounder. You have that little bit of mid that is elevated, but obviously not as elevated as your snipe areas and as well as your spawn rotator, which can allow some great positioning from the sniper positions so you can have some great use of backlines. Maybe see some of that Nautilus, maybe see some of that I don't think we did see a charger. I believe it was an E-leader we saw in Flounder Heights. So probably going to see either an E-leader or a Splat Charger come out again from those teams. But it's going to be interesting to see what these 2 teams are going to bring into this game.
Displacement is going to be key here. Since Legato is probably going to stick with that Fling, I would love to see them pair it with a Whale. I think that together that would look really well. It doesn't look like they're going to do that. They're going to go double Crab instead. Which, I mean, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. They're going to stick with the Nautilus, which most people would think is not a great pick, considering that Nautilus doesn't have the best kit, but it is still a very decent main weapon in its own right. Meanwhile, on the side of Uke, it looks like they've stuck with their comp. They have the Wiper, they've got the single Crab, but 2 down on their side very quickly. They have a Crab ready, but they have to really be careful, especially since the Charger goes down.
Yeah, these are some critical picks that Legato is getting onto Eel. Clearing that first checkpoint and just pushing on that tower early. Tugster sees that flank and is just going to get that splat onto half there. And now it's going to allow Legato to head into the second checkpoint. Are they going to clear it as well? They're clearing it, and now with 2 players down, Legato is just pushing up early. But now with 3 players down against Legato, that's going to now allow Ill to regain some of that turf, regain control. But since that Nautilus is able to push back and stay alive, they do have their special at the ready. But a push all the way down to 9 and every single checkpoint cleared. This is not going to be an easy push from Ill.
Yeah, Legato getting it down to 9, that is very, very safe on this map. Things do get snowbally after that second checkpoint, so if they can get past the second checkpoint, it's gonna be pretty snowbally for you. And they're setting up very nice here. You can see the half is going on the spinner. The crab is up there, so that's going to pick off the splash that was trying to go for him. The wiper is out. Booyah coming out as well from you. So they're going to put Booyah at top left and really force that crab to turtle up.
Oh no!
But unfortunately, in squid form, or what's considered squid form for a crab, when it runs out, so he falls straight through the grates.
Such a devastating fall to death there. But now Legato, they have regained control of their plat. They have regained control of the tower. And then with 2 players going down on the side of Ill, it is now giving Legato the opportunity to get their defensive position going. They still have that checkpoint in their back pocket. They have it as safe keeping, but now Ill, they need to get their defensive position up to shape because they have no checkpoints to keep.
Missiles getting to pick on the E-leader there, very, very clutch. Looks like the burst bomb helps clean that up. They're gonna rush the crab, not able to kill the crab, but they do destroy it, so that's really good for Legato, managing to take that special out. Haven's gonna get caught in a rock in a hard place there, getting taken out by Tug. 3 down vote on the side of Legato. And it looks like the last one is way back in mid, courtesy of a respawn. So that push isn't going to get Legato any more points. But a nice, beautiful double there from that member of Legato in mid. Manages to pick up the assist on the 3rd. So they can really keep on just hammering you with all this aggression.
This is not the position you want to be in if you are on the side of Ill, as Legato is now pushing again on this tower. They're just being relentless with the amount of pushes they're doing. GF getting that splat onto Crass as well, and they're getting just picks. They're just getting those specials going. 2 specials ready on the side of Legato, getting that second splat as well onto Tugster. They're just looking at getting players. They're just looking at getting splats, and they're just being an absolutely dominating force in the backline position here.
You gotta remember that E-leader is running Respawn Punisher too, so that's going to mean that it's gonna make members of Legato longer to respawn. They're gonna lose more special, and that can really matter if we're getting down into the last minute. Any LDE is long since activated at this point, so we might see double fizzies from the machine. We might see a couple of extra burst bombs coming out from the splash. 2 specials on the ready for Legato. 1 member of the team going down, though. Half is going to rush that crab. Not able to get the pick, but really displaces them. 2 down, though, on the side of Eok versus 2 down on the side of Legato. Zenith is going to really push up hard here. See if they can get that last member of Legato who manages to jump out, which is smart. That's the member with the crab. The hammer coming out, getting chucked somewhere. Not able to find anyone, but definitely delays people from going back into positioning. Crass is not close to their missiles, so they probably won't have that 4 to push back in. 2 down vote on the side of Eok. Might not even need those missiles, especially if they can push that backline back.
Yeah, Crass just using those flings and getting them, but no, they get taken out just as their 10 missiles are ready, and now he'll have control of the tower. We're heading into overtime now. If they clear this checkpoint, they might be able to do it, but no! The mini flank from behind, splatting the player on the tower, and then just hopping onto the tower, getting the game and setting the score 1 apiece.
Very dominant there from Legato. They were in control for most of the match. Even at the end there, yes, it was unfortunate that Cross got picked off by the E-leader. but they had the member in position for the flank. The rain coming out provided enough chip damage in combination with the burst bombs to get the people off the tower. Very smart play of the special weapon and the sub weapons together.
Yeah, definitely some great plays coming out from Legato, managing to take that game back from Eel, who did secure that first game and setting the score into 1-1. Now heading into game 3, Rainmaker on Eel Tail Alley. I personally really like this variation of Eel Tail because you can easily, both checkpoints are viable. You do have your upper route, and going across the bridge can be a little bit harder to get that push started, but if you do manage that and get the jump, you can get it. But it can also be a bit safer to go below because then you have a lot more cover going into that first checkpoint. So both very viable options. Obviously, one's quicker than the other, but as always in Splatoon, you got to go with whatever route is safest, and you got to judge that right then and there.
Yeah, so this is going to be a very fun one because one team is running the E-Leader. E-Leaders have field days on this map. It's a very long map. It's narrow. You're really going to force people to stay underneath where there's more cover. At the same time, though, very, very exposed snipes. It's easy to flank on this map. It's easy to chuck bombs up there, sloshes from the sloshings, even just flicks from the roller. Very, very useful. You can see how much that center bridge is exposed. There's not a lot of cover up there at all. Yuke's is going to drop the scope and just use an unscoped E-Leader. Meanwhile, Legato is going to stick with their double crack top. So no changes at all other than the aforementioned scope to scope, which is smart. A little bit more mobility, a little more sight for Rainmaker. And the missile's coming out very quickly, manages to get 1-2 down on the side of Yuke. The Booyah Bomb not able to find anyone. And they're really going to try and hunt down the last 2 members of Yuke so that way they can get this checkpoint.
A very early clear of that first checkpoint there, but with 2 players down, make that 3, taking a grab with that as well. That's going to now allow Eel to regain a lot of control over mid, but they need to get that control fast, as Legato have already started set off right in the middle, and that Rainmaker is going to reset, but Legato have that control. They are going to get that pop, and now they're just looking to set up. Where can they go? What routes can we take? What specials can we charge up to get ready? And would you see that the splash is ready from Eel, but they need to get that into a good position that they can use. But the splat comes out, getting that onto Crass, and now 2 players down on both sides. A very neutral battle in mid right now.
Yeah, those jumps are going to get camped. But unfortunately, Yuke is not able to get the pick on them, forced to flinch a little bit because of that splash. And that's definitely a win for a splash. If a splash takes out a backline, that is always going to be a win for the splash because they're probably running more quick respawn, and also they do a lot more damage to the enemy team than they do themselves going down. Also, they protected 2 members of their team by rushing the E-Leaders there, so very smart from them. Kubia is going to pop that rain, see if they can pick anybody off. It's definitely going to force the Viper off from the top right up there, but it looks like they're still sharking down below, which might cause some problems later on. Beautiful hammer throw getting the Rainmaker. Kubia, of course, back behind the Rainmaker. They're going to have to try and get that E-Leader. Managed to get it. This is going to be a wipeout. Legato is going to take this.
The wipeout as well, getting that initial 3 players down, but then finding that final player, the E-Leader, and then just absolutely taking that game 3, getting that, I like to call it a reverse sweep, but it's only in 3 games, but still seeing... They saw what Eel was capable of in the first game, and Legato, they knew what to do in the second 2 games, and they capitalized on that, taking games 2, 3, and they will be moving on to round 2 of the Great Light Bracket. They'll be going against, can't even read the whole name on the team. Yo Hard, that's ... That's as long as many characters as I can see. But I believe that's it for our set today.
Yeah, but we have a treat for the viewers, everybody watching. Not only do we have the one, the only 9-hole grains coming to commentate for y'all. it is going to be a TriCast, which I believe is actually the first TriCast we've had on SOS. So Nine is going to be joined by Nox and the one, the only, the Splatoon rap god himself, Haybot. Don't go anywhere because you don't want to miss that.
Hello there, everybody, and welcome back to Swim or Sink 95. My name is K-Bot, and I am joined by both Nine and Nox. Nine, I know you've been watching the tournament for a little while. How's it been looking to you so far?
Well, it's been looking great. We've had some hotly contested matches on stream, so a big shout outs to the TOs and production staff for doing that. It is a skill, folks. Don't get it twisted, but looking forward here as we've moved on to our top 8. 7 of the top 8 seeds making it this far, so should be some good sets in the later portions.
Plenty of good sets to follow, and I am all ears for some good Splatoon on this fine Wednesday evening. Nox, how are you doing as we gear up for Smoothie versus Hotdog? What are you taking a look at here?
I'm taking a look at the rosters. I'm seeing Smoothie is running typically what they have been, and Hotdog. Chase is not a player that we've seen very much lately, but has been running a lot of dualies for as long as I can remember. Draconif is going to be on that charger, and I believe Lit Blue has played a lot of buckets in the past.
Well, we are already getting into things here. Clamblitz Scorch Gorge is going to be our first map of this best of 3, and things will be cutthroat here as we get right into things. We've seen these teams play plenty on stream already, Nine, but what's the matchup that you're looking forward to the most here?
Well, anytime you see a Splatana amongst a bunch of splashes, you know that weapon is immediately going to have a really important role. Sometimes it's taken by the Tetris, sometimes it's taken by this weapon. It's so pesky and is able to move crabs around here, get them firing, get them to break that rapid fire that we are so accustomed to seeing. Sometimes that's all it takes to start a snowball.
A little bit interesting to note that Chase actually isn't playing the Tetris, and instead you're seeing that Splatana Wiper we assume, going to be filling that incredibly fast-paced role, but already it's going to be Smoothie getting the best of things here. They get the 2-down situation, and immediately a Power Clam is going to find the basket as well. Fizzy Bomb trying to apply a little bit more pressure, but here comes that Ink Vac coming in on the defensive side for Draconif, and the side of Hotdog. Looks like it'll do a decent bit of work in terms of clearing out things, but I say that it's another 2-down situation. Smoothie solidifying this area here as well. Another splash wall comes in, and still the Power Clams are finding the basket here. Looks like finally they've exhausted all their resources, but a fantastic opening push for Smoothie here, Nox.
Yeah, they did a really great job making sure they had that space secured, using those crabs, and just continuously cycling clams back in, using all the different weapons they have.
So now we're taking a look here from the Hotdog perspective. You still don't have control of mid. You haven't gotten the wipeout onto the enemy team. Nine, what are they looking towards to try to get back in here?
Well, 2 of them have immediately gone down, so I bet it probably wasn't what ended up happening here. But typically, when you do push out from a situation like that, if you know that you've only staggered the opponents, you have to move up with your sub-weapons first. You have to do something to at least do a little damage and take a little space without exposing yourself. Instead, I think they got a little haphazard running out there. The members of Smoothie had respawned at the time, and they're on the door here knocking for another push when they so choose.
All it's going to take is another Power Claim to get fully charged here. As you saw, Boopy in that Crab Tank taking a lot of space here. Not able to get much for it. Now, going to take out Lit Blue here, and still Smoothie getting the best of Hotdog right now. They're got plenty of orange ink underneath this barrier, and now about to exhaust that penalty too. Just another Power Claim is going to come in here. One more to follow up, and that is instantly going to be the game, Nox. Smoothie just took care of business in that one.
Yeah. It does seem like Hotdog rushed into mid a little bit early there, like Nine was saying, and just didn't make sure that they checked around corners, checked all the boxes they need to get into that mid area safely. And Smoothie was just able to fully take advantage of the fact that they have very mechanically skilled players and very situationally aware players, and just fully get back in without ever letting Hotdog get a single push off.
Now, Nine, of course, this is a best of 3, as I mentioned. And if you're a team that is taking a look at that game 1 from the defensive side, and your Smoothie was the ones that were just pouring in the clams the entirety of the time. Now you're going to be looking to try to go to splat zones on brine water here with some kind of adjustment. What do you think we're going to have to see here come out of Hotdog?
Well, Hotdog, you have to lie to yourself and say, well, it's Clam Blitz and we hate Clam Blitz, even if that isn't true. You've got to tell yourself something to at least change the conversation around. And we know that Scorch Gorge and Crabs go together. I'm not clever enough to come up with anything, but they go together quite well. Strong here as well on Brine Water, but I will say the one thing about Brine Water is if you can push the opponent all the way back, you at least have the opportunity to lock them out and force them to use their crabs just to get to the zone rather than fire across the zone. But of course, as Nox noted, when you have incredible mechanical skill, it turns out the Splash-O-Matic not a bad main weapon by itself.
Not a bad weapon at all. I would argue, Nine, you missed one there. Splat zones and crabs like hot dogs and ketchup. Come on,
I voted
that's gotta
Team
be pretty
Mayo
clear.
when that Splatfest happened, and I would have voted mustard over ketchup too. Would have voted pretty much any condiment over ketchup.
Nox, real quick while we're loading into the game, we've spent about a month now on Brine Water. We've seen this map a little bit. How is it kind of solidified right now as we see these compositions come out?
Well, we definitely are seeing double splash here a lot, like we are everywhere, but we see them setting up on that bottom area by the grates quite often because it's just such a great angle for them, and you can set up other players in front of you to just make sure it's a safe area. And we've seen a lot of E-leaders coming out here just because they can reach across the vast majority of the map without taking too much risk.
And you already see it's starting to pump out a little bit of pressure here. Draconev going to be able to get one onto Balloon. And now that Crab's coming in as well to get a little bit of assisted paint on top of that splat zone. And now it's a 3-down situation for Hotdog. So all of a sudden you're going to see them swing around this corner and try to get a strong hold here going, Nine. But they don't have a ton of specials to really make this solid.
No, they don't, but this is the important part, and this is where the Tetras are finally able to do it. We have seen all over at all levels when Tetras are able to go in and fire and get one opponent to start the trade, you can set up your crab loops off of it. Instead, they go down without getting anybody, and it appears that there was some chip damage from the other Splash who had worked their way into mid. So credit Smoothie not being too trepidatious with how they pushed back out, instead knowing that sometimes you have to attack and punish the opponent when they're getting a little bit too sloppy on the offensive.
Boopy and Hiya, the splashes for Smoothie already going in, but they're going to get taken down almost immediately. Litblue, though, trying to get a crab on top of the zone, but no, is going to get taken down in the process by this machine. Also going to get another one here, and so Hotdog looked like they might have been able to turn things around there, Nox, but actually it's Smoothie that's going to maintain this push, at least for a little while longer.
Yeah, Smoothie doing a great job of just playing that really aggressive playstyle. We've seen from them a lot, and their comp also really enables that with that C Junior just allowing so much chip damage and space for the splashes to just get in and kind of do whatever they want.
Boopy was able to come up with a nice shark there, slipping right past, or should I say just sitting there and letting the members of Hotdog go past. Now is able to come up with another double here, and it's going to allow Smoothie to extend even further forward on this ramp, really going for the lockout here, given this drop angle here on top of the zone, far left 9. Really got to make sure that they're putting some pressure on that.
Yeah, it's the insult to injury because now you don't know if you can move up there safely again. Suddenly you're painting too much as you try to check out. It slows you down, it lets the opponents get their jumps back in, and suddenly you're 2 down again. They're going to need a miracle here simply to take back their side of the map. You see one dive down here to try to get to the flank. You aren't going to be able to outrace a couple of these shooters here with just 10 seconds left. It is looking grim.
Looking grim here. Jumps trying to come in from Chase, but just does not have the dodge rolls to get away. And Smoothie is going to take care of business there in that best of 3, immediately going up 2-0. Both games are a knockout here in Nox, and they're looking incredibly strong as we progress further in this tournament.
Yeah, Smoothie showing that really hyper-aggressive playstyle we've seen them have in a lot of previous SOSs. It's very much a playstyle I at least associate with Boopy and Hiya, and overall Smoothie. They are not a slow-paced team by any means.
Not at all. And one of the things that kind of enables them to do that is the fact that they're not actually, they don't have a backline player on their team. There's no E-leader. There's no heavy splatling 9. So talk to me a little bit more about kind of the ramifications of that. What does that mean that Smoothie's going to really have to start playing around to get this level of control? And what might be their weaknesses?
So, I mean, for Smoothie, the one thing about a comp like this that they're going to run is we know it works at the highest level, right? There's not anything that we can plan around in terms of what Smoothie can do both in their next match and any potential further matches throughout the rest of this patch. But when you are feeling confident that you can attack your opponents and move in, you have the tools in that weapon to not only punish, to not only do chip damage, to go up and win fights, to take zones very, very quickly with your main weapon. But if worse comes to absolute worst, you can step back, crab, and then not only are you a great beacon for your team to move around, but it usually forces the opponent to completely change what they're trying to do as well. So when Smoothie is confident and when comps like this are confident and moving well and throwing caution to the wind, it's beautiful to watch. I know we're all a little frustrated by the amount of crabs we see, but there is a little bit of beauty in what that weapon can pull out.
There certainly is. Splashmatic acting like the jack of all trades, in effect. You've mentioned the crab tanks being so oppressive at times with that range advantage, its ability to lock down space, and really enabling a lot of what we're seeing in the current play. Well, Smoothie is going to take that set. They're going to go up against Vivid in the semis on that side of the bracket, but we're going to be switching up to the top half. We'll have Yo Hard, that's Jumpir, versus Nawal Gaming. I don't actually know what to call the first team, but on that first roster, Nox, there's at least one or two players that we can recognize.
Yeah, I'd assume pretty much everyone can recognize Bran. Very notable player. Been on Starburst for just a little bit, just a little while for sure. Yeah, Bran's definitely a very notable player there. So I do expect them to do pretty well, just knowing that in and of itself.
Yeah, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, this is like the really old Hanron back in the day, right? You've got Bran. Seth is on this roster, who's been, kind of in this friend circle for a while. Hasn't necessarily been on like most highest placing rosters, but oftentimes will make strong lane appearances, or tonight a weeknight tournament coming in. Jumpir as well is on this roster, so definitely reminiscent here of the old days, Nine.
Yeah. I was just about to make a joke that these players beat me back when I was a competitor. So if you want to know how long they've been around, and you may say, well, wait a minute, Bran's pretty young. And to that I would say, yeah, they all are. And they were even younger when they beat me. They were Hanron, for those of you who don't know, they were kind of the original, I guess, what's the term? The really hyperactive aggro cracked kids, as they were, when they would simply move through and win fights against superior planning, you could say, by simply being better at the video game than other people. So they've changed their names tons and tons of times. Bran, thankfully, tends to make it easy by keeping the same name, as does Seth. But we're going to see some really exciting stuff coming out from this roster, so keep an eye on every gunfight.
Nawal Gaming, though, as well, coming into this, consistent high placer in weekly events and a roster that tends to stick together as well. So I'm really excited to see what they've got up their sleeve as well here. But first, let's talk about the next stage we're going to. It'll be Rainmaker on Flounder Heights. And as I was saying, we're starting to see these maps kind of solidify as folks are really starting to figure out how these stages actually start to play. Nox, as we take a look here at Flounder, how are these teams playing it a month into release?
A month in, we're still seeing crabs here, but we aren't usually seeing double crab. It's a lot less common. We typically will see one, and then usually a T-Tech. I've been seeing a lot of T-Tech on this map. And usually some sort of anchor, just because it can be such a fast map that you almost need something to help you slow it down if something doesn't go your way.
Yeah, I think the interesting thing there, to your point, is talking about the fact that this is such a vertical map. It's kind of difficult for a crab to find really good engages, like at all, when you're trying to shoot upwards, up these long stacks right into mid and towards that bridge, right, that connects the map or splits it in two. And on Rainmaker here, Nine, actually, as we're taking a look at the next stage we're about to see, it's actually kind of easy to set up your defenses on that high ground in the middle of the map and prevent your opponent from really doing a lot with a Rainmaker, especially if you're running more of that anchor gameplay that we were talking about from Nox.
Yeah. It's an odd scenario because it's one of the few times where both the attacker and the defender get their own form of high ground, right? And it's a lot of times, especially in Splatoon 3, the defender stands back by their pedestal, if you will, that's a little bit raised, and they try to make their defense from there. But oftentimes, at least when I watch teams that do run double splash or even triple splash, as we do see here sometimes, the main weapon starts to really show you why it's strong, because again, burst bombs do make it easy to attack here. So you'll see a lot of what we usually come to expect on Rainmaker, teams waiting just a moment before they grab it. But this is one that can snowball in a hurry, and it's kind of odd given that you wouldn't expect it from this, but I will be very interested to see what Nawal Gaming has for the first opening jabs from Yo Hard That's Jumper, if you will.
It should be interesting to see. The other thing I want to talk about here a little bit is that first checkpoint does not stand most of the time, right? It is very easy to see that Rainmaker instantly jump down from the middle part of the map and get kind of a quick knockout dunking animation on that first Rainmaker pedestal. So I'm interested to see what these teams pull up with as we are getting into this one here. And we're seeing a Splatana Stamper out of the side of Nawal Gaming. Nox, talk to me a little bit. What does that weapon really want to do?
Splatana Stamper really wants to just be able to get in there, get in quickly, take a lot of risks, as we can see from them running that QR and stealth jump build, and go after those crabs when they pop out, and probably actually chase down this Bloblobber quite a bit, because that will be a weapon that can apply so much pressure around these ledges.
We talk about the Bloblobber. Nine, I know you played this weapon a little bit in Splatoon 2. We're starting to see a little bit of folks pick it up in Splatoon 3 here on Rainmaker. What makes this thing strong?
Well, I mean, it destroys the Rainmaker shield very quickly. That's one niche that never went away, and certainly if you want some form of weapon that can slow down the pace of a game, it can at least do that to a somewhat serviceable extent. And, you know, some people just really like the main weapons. The Bloblobber main, some of the fiercest and most dedicated out there.
Indeed the case here, as you were starting to see those blobs come in, but now it gets challenged by some of the members of Nawal, and now it's going to be Jumper Squad that goes 3 down. We're seeing the Stamper stick around. Now that dunk comes through on that checkpoint, and now up in the Zipcaster, looking to try to disrupt the back lines here for the purple team. Looks like it's not going to get much for the trouble, but a push down here to 38 knocks, especially with members of Nawal still around, is incredibly strong.
Yeah, and we're seeing just how good Splatana Stamper is there at also destroying objects just like that Bloblobber. And just Nawal Gaming just doing such a great job of maintaining this mid area even when they go a few down, and making sure that the game is being played at the pace they want to play at. Not getting rushed into doing what the Tetra wants them to do, or standing where the Blob wants them to stand so that they can get that fall off.
They are doing a fantastic job of watching where Seth is at all times. As you saw him try to make a play, try to find an angle, but immediately gets taken down in the process. Now, we're starting to see Jumper's team get control of the middle of the map here. We have to imagine they're going to start setting up a push 9, but what are they waiting for?
Well, I would say they're probably waiting for at least one crab and to identify where the opponents have been. This machine has been harassing them from this exact spot, really from the opening game. It was the opening pick on Brand that opened up, and still another one going down. Aizen might even be able to get this Booyah Bomb down to slow them down a little more. Does pay the price, but if they're able to mitigate what this crab tank is able to do, I think they might have actually stopped this push before it even started. They tried to set it up. It does look like they're going to at least try to go for this first checkpoint, but this could have been a lot worse, and they've defended quite admirably thus far.
Nice crab tank comes out, slows things down for a little while longer, puts a little bit of that green ink around, but it's not going to stop the push for Jumper's team to get this down to the checkpoint. But now at that checkpoint, they're going to be the ones that are going to get taken down. 3 down for them, as Nawal's going to have control over this checkpoint. A very nice cleanup there, Nox.
Yeah, Nawal just doing a great job of setting exactly what they want to happen in motion, waiting out specials, waiting to get their own, and just not falling to the pressure that Yo Hard That's Jumper is trying to set for them. And now taking it into this back corner where they know they can just stall it out for pretty much as long as they want until the Rainmaker timer goes away.
Yeah, let's not kid ourselves there. That wasn't necessarily looking for a push, was Nawal, right? They were looking towards the top of the map, trying to win some of those fights up there, and now just stalling out that Rainmaker, putting it on the opposite side of the map where it's going to be difficult for Jumper's team to actually make it move back, and then not sticking around to pop that Rainmaker shield either here. Nawal definitely playing the long game and winding that clock down.
Yeah, I am stunned that the crabs did not find their target there. That survivability has really been, I would say, a picture of this entire set thus far, and certainly this game in one small interaction there. 2 crabs kind of picking one target, both lobbing shots over the top, and a burst bomb being tossed, not able to find the target. The members of Nawal Gaming have done a fantastic job of ducking behind little walls, falling down, using the verticality as a defensive tool, and now it looks like they might get a chance to use it on offense as well.
Looking for it here, but actually Nero's the only one up now for Nawal, still in the crab tank. Now it's going to get taken down and able to find 2 for the road here, which will slow this down for Jumpir's team for a little bit. Speaking of which, slow start picking up the Rainmaker, as it looks like they're going to start to provide these jumps coming in for the team, and they're going to be looking to try to make their move. 35 seconds left to go. The checkpoint's already cleared, so they've just got to get this a little bit further forward. Now it looks like one of the members diving on top of them. They've got to dodge and weave all through all of this, and they still taking their pace, calm, cool, and collected. 20 seconds here left to go, looking for the lead. They're able to find it there, not before getting stopped here from Nawal. They might have a chance to respond, but they've still got to clear out the rest of these members of the purple squad. But now with that Splatana Stamper going down, it's a 3-down situation for Nawal. It looks like Eisen might be around to pick up this Rainmaker, but it's just not going to be enough. The pop comes through. All Jumpir's team has to do is protect it for a little while longer, and that will be the case. They're going to take game 1 in this best of 3, Knox.
Yeah, they did you could see that as they got pushed more and more, Nawal didn't know how to respond to that. They were no longer able to just control the game the way they were doing before that. They felt trapped, and they started kind of just going in one at a time and not really following any set game plan.
And interestingly, to that point, it seemed like Jumpir's team wasn't necessarily explosive 9, but they were pretty consistent. The amount of pressure they were able to lay out over time, it eventually got to the point where they could make that game-winning push.
Yeah, I would love to, if we could ever go back, I would love to see an overhead view when they really made that counter push. It was actually funny enough, as always, the moment where I said it looked like they were going to get another attack going, them being Nawal Gaming there. But it looked like somebody was able to sneak behind both of the crabs and get rid of them in that sense. And when all of them went down so quickly, you saw they had an opportunity to get their jumps back in and start a push. And then Eisen, who had a fantastic game, made one small slip up and got taken out by the Rainmaker. That really changed the dynamic of that entire push. It meant that they didn't have to worry about the machine sharking below them. That meant the shooters were able to move a little further forward. And after that, it's a matter of being patient, waiting for them to attack. Eventually they'll come forward. We'll chip damage here, chip to there. And once they saw the opportunity, they said 35 is just fine. I only needed to get it to 37. We'll take what we can and play defense from here.
And exactly all they needed to do, especially with just a few seconds left in that game. But now we'll turn our attention to game 2 here. Of course, must win for Nawal to stay in the tournament. But you have to imagine here, Knox, with the consistent pressure that Jumpir's team was able to put out for a long while, they might have the ability to make something happen around these Clam Blitz baskets again, where they're able to pump out consistent pressure and keep that pressure up and keep that basket open for long.
They absolutely might. They definitely were running a comp that's very stable and can hold down spaces like that for a long time, whereas Nawal is definitely relying more on those explosive moments, getting that one big push, and then just holding on to that lead, playing defense for the rest of the game. That seems like what that double crab Splatana Stamper was really wanting to do there on Flounder Heights.
Yeah, so we'll see. I will say, I don't think we see a ton of Splatana Stampers here on this particular map mode combination 9, but maybe they'll stick with it. I don't know. Where do you think the flexibility comes in here?
Well, I think that if you're happy with that weapon, we're beyond the point of wondering if Splatana Stamper is strong, right? We know it's strong right now. We know that if you're capable of using it, it can be played at the highest level and is played routinely at the highest level. And I would say early on in that game too, they had a great look with that Splatana Stamper, with the chip damage comp, with the machine of Eisen sitting below and attacking there. The additional range that had, along with a third burst bomb, was doing a really good job of keeping them at bay. So I think on this sort of map where you need a lot of sustainability in mid, you're pretty open once you start opening the basket and trying to score. I think it could be great for them in terms of having more burst bombs to push back the opponent. And of course, we know that you can get a little silly with zipline as well.
You can get rather silly with that. Nox, what folks might not know is that sometimes you can actually combo your actual rail, right? And the actual impact that your squid makes with some other chip damage from the rest of weapons or even your own weapon. Talk to me a little bit about what folks want to do while they're in Zipcaster.
In Zipcaster, you're really trying to get behind the enemy lines, trying to force a distraction, trying to get them all to look at you. Even if you don't get that pick, you're allowing your teammates to move forward and claim that space in mid that you otherwise might not have had. And you're also getting, hopefully, some picks out of it. Because of that chip damage you get, you can go directly through people and get the splat. And you can also, with Splatana Stamper especially, you can use a lot, your main weapon combos really well with pretty much every form of damage you do.
So we'll take a look at the compositions here on Game 2 for Clan Blitz Eeltail. Now, while sticking with very similar composition, but on the other side, we're seeing the Flingza Roller come out in place of one of the splashes and the blob sticking here. Nine, let's talk about what jumps out to you first.
Well, I mean, Bran immediately jumping in just as soon as Seth went down on those Tetras. K-Bot, you and I have done a lot of research on Tetras in particular, how top Tetra players and the teams around them play, and it's exactly stuff like that. You hear the call out that both of those players got hit at least once, you immediately dive down. It looks reckless, but it's actually exactly what you need to do. It's the game plan, and so is this. Everybody moving up. You know that Seth is going to be going, taking all the aggro as possible. Everyone else's job is to come back in. If Bran gets something off of this shark, it's going to get ugly. Is able to get one. Can he get two? No, but he has enough time and presence of mind to keep the basket open, and the damage is not yet done.
3 down for Nawal Gaming again. Bran rotating back into the middle of the map, trying to find a few more clams, and indeed, they're going to continue to come through here. Now down to the 11-point mark. Test coming back up with a few more. Bran maintaining presence with the crab tank here as well. And this team, like we were saying, is still sticking around. They find the last 2 clams they need, and they will take the set 2-0, Nox.
Yeah, just really incredible gameplay there out of Yo Hard, that's Jumpir, of just knowing exactly what they need to do and following the game plan their weapons have to the T. They played perfectly around everything they had and just made it look incredibly easy.
Certainly did make it look incredibly easy, but Nine, it is not that easy, certainly, right? What was it that really stands out to you in terms of how all of that was able to come together?
Well, the opening play that I kind of talked about earlier, where there was the scuffle in the middle, and then the Tetra's main job is to move forward, hit things, and take aggro. And once Seth dove in to make that play happen, wasn't able to find anybody, but was able to weaken both of the players enough that they had to retreat. That meant that that whole, really, part of the map was there for Bran to take. And instead of simply taking it, throwing a burst bomb, and trying to wait, he understood that there was a brief window where he could move forward, attack the opponent, and they were either going to have to fire back and not heal, or they were going to retreat all the way back and he was going to take all of that space for himself. He ended up getting a couple people off of that, and then it's the classic rotation that we're used to seeing. You jump your Tetris back in, 3 people have to fight the Tetris while everyone else sits in, and eventually you're going to get to start your crab loops as well. So all executed exactly as you would draw it up with that type of comp and with those types of players.
Well, that's going to mean that Yo Hard, it's Jumper, is going to take that set. They're going to be advancing to our final match of the night, where they'll meet Smoothie, who just knocked off Vivid in their semifinal, also to a score line of 2-0. So we saw Smoothie a little bit earlier, Nox, with this no backline composition that's all rush down, all in your face. How do you think these two are going to fight up against one another?
I think they're definitely going to be very fast-paced, skirmishy type matches, just because that's a lot of what we've been seeing out of both teams. I do think Yo Hard, that's Jumpir, will do a little bit more in terms of trying to slow the game down, which might throw Smoothie off quite a bit. I don't think whenever I've commentated Smoothie or played against them, I've ever seen many people be actually successfully able to slow them down. But if there's a team that might be able to, it's Yo Hard, that's Jumpir.
And interesting enough here, as we take a look at the map and mode combinations that we'll have for our slated best of 5. The first one is going to be Tower Control on Hagglefish. And 9, we talk a little bit about the differences in the modes. Tower Control forces you to play a very specific pace.
Yeah, a specific pace, and this really becomes the push and pull of how far you push ahead of the tower, and that's nothing new, but the way that the maps have been laid out in Splatoon 3, I think plays more to Tower Control's strengths maybe than any other, and I am a noted and historic hater of Tower Control, and even I only hated a little bit in Splatoon 3, so Triggerfish, because of the tower path, you can put a crab on it and you can access all the relevant parts of the map. You could certainly do it as well if you had a backline. I would wager we're not going to see that here, but the push and pull of how far you push forward is something that we can't really tell you ahead of time. There's so much context that goes into when you attack, and how these players are able to identify those moments will be the key deciding factor.
And of course, we'll try to bring all of that to you as best we can live, but one of the things here to talk about is Smoothie's going to have to try to find an opening to make that attack happen, because we've seen now 2 stages right in a row where Jumpir's team is able to come in, take care of business, set up all, cover all of their angles, and make sure that they're going to be in advantageous positions to actually win fights. So what exactly is it here, Nox, that Smoothie's going to have to do to try to crack this thing open?
Smoothie's going to have to really make sure that they're using their sub-weapons, they're keeping the map painted, and really coordinating their specials to make sure that they can get in here. And making sure that they're not just rushing into things. They need to make sure that they're not just diving headfirst into mid and just trying to brute force it, which is something I definitely have seen these players do and get away with a few times.
Well, they're not going to be able to get away with it here, that's for sure. But one of the things you talk about when we're talking a little bit about the specials in Splatoon 3, maybe not even in comparison to in Splatoon 2, these crab tanks that are so strong, I feel like are incredible because they're able to enable your teammates to go follow up and take the space that crab tank is kind of laying out for you.
Yeah, I mean, you laid it out perfectly there in terms of there really isn't a lot that special can't do for the time being. And one of the things that I will say makes it exciting in that respect is, like you said, it does enable your teammates, but it enables them in a very direct sort of way. I think you can talk about displacement and what missiles looked like at the end of Splatoon 2, but there's a very real, direct, and immediate threat with Crab that I think players, of course, at this point have, love it or hate it, you figured out how to play it, and you've either joined it or tried to figure out what your answer is against it. So I will say, to an earlier point that you made, the one piece of this that I think is going to be intriguing is the bloblobber that Yohard, that's Jumpir, is bringing, because that's by far and away the slowest weapon on the map between these two teams. So if there's any avenue for them to get in an attack, I think there will be moments where Smoothie might have that bloblobber, if the bloblobber is the only weapon we're going to see, moved away from the rest of the team enough. And that's, I think, the one short, small window, and that closes very quickly, that they'll have an avenue to move in and set up those crab loops that you were talking about.
Well, it'll be exciting to watch for sure which team is going to be able to execute on having both of those, crab loops come in. But folks, we do have a slight technical pause before getting into our grand finals, so we'll actually step away for just a brief little bit. But we promise, folks, finals is on the way, and you won't want to miss it. Welcome back to Swimmer Sync 95. I told you it'd be a quick break, and I wasn't lying at all. We're hopping right on into this one. Of course, grand finals between Smoothie and Yohard, that's Jumpir. And Nox, I'll start with you first. We've actually seen Smoothie be in this exact position in finals of an SOS numerous times over.
Yeah, they end up here quite a lot. It's definitely a every couple week thing that you'll just see, oh, it's Boopy and it's Smoothie up in grand finals again, always with Haya, and there's a few other people that they're pretty regularly with, but Boopy and Haya are very much a duo at this point that we've seen playing together since Low Tide City pretty regularly. Oh.
Well, Another technical pause, I suppose, but hopefully we'll storm right through this. 9, the interesting thing to me, as we were taking a look at the weapons that were coming in there, and my brain was starting to spin, the blob is sticking on tower control here.
Yeah, I would say even amongst the most devout blob believers, it's generally understood that, well, okay, especially with this current kit, it's a little tricky to make that thing work on tower. But what I will say is, the great panacea for every weapon is Hagglefish Main Stage, or Hagglefish Market. Whoops.
Hagglefish Main Stage.
You all, sorry, you weren't supposed to know about that one yet. Anyway, Hagglefish Market, there are a lot of avenues here, really right in front of the opponent's drop, where the blob can hit all 4 of its shots kind of in any specific angle at the exact spot that the opponents are trying to defend. And should you lose enough room that they get up onto the tent area, it's pretty much GG's at that point. And we know that Inkstorm is super, super strong on tower control as well as a displacement tool in getting people to move out. So there are lots of avenues where you can really enable that weapon to its greatest potential. But again, you have to get through an opposing team that's probably not going to let that happen willingly. So we'll see if any of that comes to fruition.
To your point, 9, we don't often see a lot of Inkstorms at all right now in the current weapons that are played in Splatoon 3. And so a lot of folks probably aren't giving it as much credit as, they might otherwise. It's like, okay, it's a little rain cloud, I suppose. But when we're talking about more displacement specials, especially when centralizing around this tower control objective here, Nox, just how impactful do you think it's going to be here, especially against this Smoothie composition that is mobile, sure, but somebody's got to be riding the tower regardless?
Yeah, rain in a situation like this, especially on a mode like tower control, can just apply so much pressure. You can't just continuously stand in the rain without knowing that you're going to go down to a singular burst bomb, or in this case, a singular blob, where you just know that there is a ton of risk from any extra chip damage, and it just can lock down entire corridors and just force people to have to move off the tower or away from whatever objective, especially if you're running something like missiles in a Tetra with it, where you just never know where the next bit of danger could come from.
All right, folks, well, we're finally getting off to it, and hopefully this one isn't a false alarm this time either. We're seeing the Flings Roller come out again here, and the double crab composition on the Smoothie that we're used to seeing now.
Yeah, this is a really, really intriguing look here, because everything that I was saying about the blob was sort of assuming that they wouldn't have a Flings Roller to go along with it. Now, when the Flings Roller gets up and tries to attack like this, it's a very different weapon than we're used to seeing, but I would say that those weapons want to play in similar positions, and a lot of times are going to be fighting over the same patches of ink to build their displacement specials. So this is going to be interesting. On the defensive side, they're pushed back. They haven't given up too dangerous of a spot, but Seth is going to have to pick the moment to dive in very carefully. One of them already going down, and this is starting to get away from them, K-Bot.
Already, you see that first checkpoint going down, but we say that, and Smoothie's already exhausted all of their special weapons in order to keep this push alive. And so now they're going to have to start committing their own main weapons and their own lives, potentially, to try to keep this tower going on forward. Looks like they're not fully going to be able to do much of that. It'll stop at this second checkpoint, not able to clear it this time around. But even still, Nox, I mean, 38, pretty strong showing here early for Smoothie.
38's definitely a strong push. Definitely not an unbeatable push on this map. We definitely see pushes go further than that quite often. Although it does seem like Yo That's Hard Jumpir is having a really hard time getting back into mid here. They just haven't been able to quite break out of their spawn since the first encounters of the game. And we're seeing this Flanksy here moving up in a way that we don't typically see and going for picks and not really relying on getting those missiles.
That's not going to get away with it that time around with the Ninja Squid Flingza, and actually, it's going to mean that Smoothie is going to maintain a decently strong tower position. Now, they're approaching the second checkpoint once more. Balloon, though, going up in the Booyah Bomb, letting that canopy get cleared out. Yeah, going in for the 1v1 versus Bran. Bran going to take care of business, and now that tower is going to collapse. But all the meanwhile, it was Smoothie 9 that was still able to clear past that second checkpoint, which is a critical mark on this map.
It's a critical mark, too, and I just want to give credit there. Hayao made the exact right play going after Bran in that spot. If Hayao wins that 1v1 or even trades, the game might end then and there. So it was the correct target, but Bran understood the assignment as well, backed up a little bit and got those shots out. And for the first time here, with half of the game gone, we're going to see an opportunity for Yohard, that's Jumpir, to make an attack. The Tetras are down, but that's fine. They're always down. That's how it ends up going. And they very quickly picked out where Bran was attacking from. Great job holding that position here. Go ahead, take out Seth there, get another one down, and I don't even think they're going to get their jumps back in. This is a dead push.
The team play that's coming alive for Smoothie right now is so critical. Bran able to come up with one. One of the members sees Bran in their death cam, and then the callouts come through to make sure that that last member isn't surprised on Smoothie, slowly starting to pick apart the members of the opposition one by one. And so even though the push looks strong there, it seemed like Jumpir's team couldn't quite get ahead of things here, Nox, and now they're the ones that are going to have to play defense yet again.
Yeah, we saw Seth trying to take advantage of that haunt that they're wearing there and just not quite able to do it, able to get one pick off of it, but not really able to set up anything for their teammates to be able to easily push in off of and Bran is trying to use this crab tank to force everyone back in, and it looks like it's working. Seth able to start just really playing Tetra and just getting that distraction going, but they're still not really able to set up here.
It's very difficult to find a way here for Jumpir to get all of the pieces of the puzzle together in order to have that maintained presence that we were seeing from them in even the last series that we watched them play, just due to the nature of the way that Smoothie's playing. They're playing fast, they're playing aggressive, they know exactly how to capitalize on any little ounce of intel that they're getting from their opponents. They've been able to get the better part of the past 4 minutes without letting Jumpir's team so much as touch the tower much at all here, Nine, and they're looking to maintain that presence as we get down and time quickly gets down to 0.
Well, yeah, and I think you also, as the game goes on, kind of understand that a couple of these weapons aren't really going to be able to seal the deal a lot of times. If only a couple shots from the blob hit you or just the very, very edge of the flings are ranged, that's not really even 50 damage in some cases here. So it's enough for you to simply move back there, continue fighting, continue holding your position. And I heard an uh-oh there, K-Bot. This is the moment here. Seth gets taken out immediately on the Shark, though. That could be big here. They've got one last opportunity.
The 3-down situation is going to enable this push coming in from Jumpir's team, but now they're at the first checkpoint. Looks like they're able to clear this just fine. 3 seconds left to go. Overtime's going to happen, but all Smoothie's got to do is touch the tower with nobody on it. Bran going to be met with a splash wall, limiting the utility that this crab has, but it's another 3-down situation. There's the wipeout that comes through, and finally, the chip damage and the assists come in, and they're going to go ahead and take this game as well. Rip it right from the jaws there at the very end.
Go ahead, Nox. I'm laughing.
Yeah. So that's not the first time we've seen them do something like that, really. That's very similar to what they had to do in the Rainmaker game at the start of the Nawal set, where they needed to find their footing, figure out what the other team was doing, and then figure out exactly what they needed to do to get that one big push. One of the fun things with modes like Tower and Rainmaker and Clamblitz is you really can just get away with getting that one big push in. With zones, it's so much more about retake. But with Tower and Rainmaker and Clamblitz, you can just make one big push, and it can be at the very end of the game, and it does not matter. As long as you keep that momentum going and keep the other team staggered, you can win off of it fairly regularly. It's obviously better to have something a little more secure going into a situation like that. But as you saw, if you just stay consistent and don't panic, you can usually pull out something in a situation like that.
But Nine, to your point in one of the breaks that we were talking about, once that blob actually got into position on the offensive side, it seems like it's able to have much more value shooting upwards at the opponent's side of the map, rather than trying to shoot downwards while you're trying to play defense with that thing. And finally, the pieces started to click in the way that they had designed this composition.
Yeah, and that's what we said at the start, is that there are spots where that blob is going to be able to get set up and safely attack the parts of the map that the opponents want to defend from. When it's able to do that, then you really see why the weapon is so frustrating to deal with. It seems like you're dealing with an omnipresent damaging hitbox that simply bounces around and off different geometry, but I have to say, and I have to give credit, I've given so much credit to the guy over the years, but Bran's patience with waiting until the tower moved all the way up into that exact spot to get all of those shots off at the defenders relevantly. If one or two of them had gone down staggered, there might have been an opportunity to attack that tower. Instead, they all four go down instantly, and we're on to game 2.
Game 2 here is Rainmaker, Brinewater, Springs, and we're seeing very similar compositions come out here, Nox. It feels like we weren't seeing very many explosive plays, of course. That's the nature of tower control. Who do you have to try to see as the one that's going to step forward and start making plays here for one of these teams?
Well, I would expect Seth to start going for some openings here, like getting Boopy right there. And out of Smoothie, I would expect the 52 gal to maybe try and force something, as they both kind of play that skirmisher role in regards to how their team comps work.
Now Seth, once again, on the offensive here, and we're starting to see this motion past and beyond this first pedestal, as that will almost instantly fall. Booyah Bomb comes out, trying to stall, buy a little bit more space for Smoothie, as now they're slowly starting to come together, and they're able to find this. There's the wipeout, able to find the cluster of members of Jumper's team the moment that it matters there, 9.
Yeah, I actually think that maybe Seth left a little bit of food left on the plate there. I think sitting back and trying to build up that Reef Slider was clever there, but maybe gave a little bit too much time to build the defensive resources. On the other side, though, speaking of defensive resources, how about we just use our main weapons to clear out everybody in the matter of a couple of seconds there? Goodness me.
And that works. If you can create just a little bit of chaos there, all of a sudden, things will start to go your way rather quickly. Now, slow start, forced to drop on back, is going to get jumped on by Hia. Now going in for another one, but it's going to get swarmed by a few other members of Jumper's team. 2 for 2 right now on the map. And we're going to see a little bit of a duel here in mid-Nox. Looks like Test is going to, no, actually not able to jump away. Punished by the crab, and Smoothie has control of the middle here.
Yeah, we're seeing Smoothie actually in a pretty good position to push here, having a couple members down, having another member behind them. And it looks like they might be able to start getting something going, but it seems like they might have hesitated just a bit too long, as the 52 gal is now just a little bit stuck. I say that as it looks like they're going to be able to get moving here.
They get moved a little bit more. They take the lead. They've got members in position, and now they're able to come up with a few more. It looks like they're trying to run for the hills, but Seth's going to be able to come up with the one longest range kill I've seen for a Tetra Dualies in quite some time. But it's another 2 down for Jumper's team. They're going to get down to the 1 point mark on the pedestal, just stopped in the nick of time there, but they're still sticking around. Maybe there's opportunity for them to find this Rainmaker shield burst, and they will. The Crab Tank comes out to try to maintain a little bit more space for Smoothie, but one goes down in the process. They try to pick it up, and immediately gets reset there as well. And finally, there's enough purple ink, and finally the map opens up a little more for Jumper's team, 9.
And just such an adroit attack there to know that, okay, there's rain coming out here, people are firing shots at us. Let's just keep moving forward here. That's where we want to be anyway here. And you saw them inch slowly and slowly forward, continuing to attack. We said in the last set, when this type of comp and these types of players feel good and feel confident about the way that they attack, good things start to happen. And now this Rainmaker, yeah, woof. This is a yellow map.
It's all yellow, and there's even more of this swarming feature that you're seeing out of the members of Smoothie. They're just continuing to have so much presence across the map overall, and it's making it real difficult for Jumper's team to start getting to some things set up here, Nox.
Yeah, Jumper's definitely having a hard time finding any space to work with at this point. Although they have a lot of weapons that can paint so well, they don't have the space to actually get in there and paint. And while the Blob can try and do it from a distance, the way Blob paints isn't that necessarily useful unless you are more in their face. As I say that, it looks like Jumper is starting to be able to make a push in here. Seth able to create quite a bit of distraction using that Reef Slider, as they're starting to be able to move forward, but that crab coming out completely stopping them in their tracks.
Stopping it for now, but Seth continues to go forward. Double teamed now, but again, Jumper's team has got to get this all the way down to the pedestal, and they're not going to be able to do it this time around. They're going to go 3 down in the process. Great defense from Smoothie. Again, they recognize the win condition. Just don't let them dunk, 9.
Yeah, and I think there was really, again, another moment there. The slight survivability. I think Seth had already turned away, actually, from the player that they were firing at earlier there, thinking that they were already gone. If Seth had gotten that cleanly, I'm not sure if there were enough defensive resources to keep it from being all the way down to 1 in the knockout. So credit to the players for surviving just long enough to throw a wrench into that attack. And with 30 seconds, they're going to have to do it all over again, and they aren't going to have that many specials to do it with.
Once again, notice how Smoothie is backing away. They're keeping their side of the map more than they are trying to expand their territory because they realize with just under 20 seconds to go, all they've got to do is prevent the dunk from coming through. But Balloon able to get a nice one there on the slow start. 10 seconds left to go, and Smoothie's got control in the middle of the map. They're going to burst this Rainmaker, make sure that no one on Jumper's team is going to be able to get anywhere close to touching this thing, trying to drop in from their side of the map, but it's not enough, and Smoothie is going to take game 2 here, Nox.
Yeah, Smoothie doing a really great job of, okay, so we made a mistake at the end of that last one. Let's make sure that we play this ending a little more patiently, a little more carefully, along with having had that push all the way to 1, which in Rainmaker is always really hard to come back from. One of the hardest modes to knock out, and when the enemy team knows that they just need to get that one pick before overtime ends, before you manage to dunk it yourself.
And oftentimes we see so many cheeky little plays with the Rainmaker running backwards, you know, the opposite direction where you think you'd want to go, just for that very reason, right? It's very easy to set up defensive plays and strong ways to prevent your opponent from getting the lead. So hats off there to Smoothie playing that one brilliantly, especially after they're pushed down to that 1 point mark. But now go over to Clamblitz here. We have seen strong pushes from both teams, 9, in previous sets tonight on Clamblitz. How do you think this one's going to fare, and what are you looking out for as we head to Makomar?
Well, this is maybe, especially compared to ELTail, right? This is a map where I feel that the defending team has a fighting chance. They can come out of their spawn and very quickly start putting bombs, damaging hitboxes, main weapons, what have you, at the area that the opposing team is going to be sitting at in order to score points. So I think there's a real opportunity here for them to maybe not get the 100-0 that we continually have seen from these two teams tonight. Maybe. I mean, I don't want to jinx it here, and I probably already have, but look, it's Clamblitz Makomart, folks. We've been playing this for a few years, and we certainly know what Crab can do and where it can hit on this side. But what I'm really intrigued by is, I would say that in these two games, Smoothie has been winning for, what do you think, 80, 85% of these games, maybe longer than that. They've looked in control, and I think the fundamental point of what Go Hard, that's Jumper's comp, is running into is that they can't close the deal as well as this shooter aggro comp that Smoothie is doing. And in Rainmaker really came back to bite them. So unless they're able to change that portion of the game, I think that Smoothie's still going to have a winning formation throughout not only this game, but even the later ones.
And you have to imagine, right, with their double crab tank composition that we've been seeing them run, the consistent pressure that they're able to apply to multiple sides of this map. Dogs, 9 briefly mentioned the crabs here on Makomart, but run me through that real quick. Why is it that crab tank, we know it's strong generally, but specifically here?
And just with the way Makomart is set up, you just can... Crab has sight lines if you're on that right stack into pretty much the entire enemy spawn. And if you don't have sight lines to it, you can still use one of the Explosher-like shots to go in there and do a ton of damage with a teammate easily able to go in and get that follow-up that you need. And it just applies so much paint and so much pressure and just completely enables a push without needing to do quite as much setup as a lot of other specials that we've been seeing a lot of in Clamblitz, like Bubbler, which you need to take a bit more time and a bit more patience to get set up.
Yeah, and to your point, right, contrasting with the big bubbler, when you're really looking to try to set that up, like right underneath the basket, or maybe it's on a stack somewhere, but that requires getting oftentimes a player that can't really do much for them to fend for themselves other than try to paint the floor around them in order to actually get into position to throw that up. Meanwhile, the crab, you get to instantly go up, and it suddenly, maybe at times, doubles, triples, quadruples the effective range of your weapon. And you're able to take a lot more space in that way. So will certainly be interesting here. But 9, as we take a look back, do you think Jumper's team is thinking about making any composition change? Yes or no? We got a few seconds.
No. And I'm waiting to be proven wrong. I was wrong. Very wrong, as it were. This is a little bit more what we're used to here. The blob switching over to the sloshing machine, and I don't think I need to tell you folks why that was done.
Well, we'll see if it pans out here for Jumper's team as we're starting to get on this map to kick things off. But already, actually, a lot of ink coming in from the orange side. They're already moving plenty far forward, and now it's the crab tank that's trying to retreat and reposition, but now it looks like they've overextended. It was 3 down there for Jumper, and Smoothie's going to be able to come on back, take control of the middle of the map here, and try to look for an angle to make push their own knocks.
Yeah, but we're seeing that 52 gal being able to do a similar job to the Tetras, but getting a little more of their own fix in the process of just maintaining that space, maintaining that pressure, and causing a lot of distraction, and just having that survivability, although in a different way of getting the picks while surviving rather than forcing a lot of distractions to allow their teammates to get them.
Now Catboy is going in here, looking for this one onto the machine. Not able to find it that time around. 2 down, 3 down for Jumper's team. Smoothie's got a power clam, and they're looking to score it right here. That one's going to find and connect with the basket. Where's the follow-up? Looks like Boopy and Hia both have a few clams they're looking to get in, and there is one crab tank at the ready here as well. They might try to look to break back in here, but already you see how much space Jumper's team was able to come in with on the defense, shutting down any potential for a follow-up here. When with the 2-down situation, they're already starting to get in position here, 9, to make a push of their own.
Yeah, and this is the important part. On Mako Mart, we've seen it for years here. When one team ends up scoring, there is almost always a moment where if they go 3 or 4 down for that score, the opposing team gets mapped. They, of course, have the freebie clam on their side of the map as well to push back in. And usually they can build their own power clam. So how can you take the counter punch? Here, they've done it almost perfectly. No points given the other way. And it looks like they've even got a decent chunk of the map here to get back into the neutral and start their own push once again.
Hey, they did it once, they'll do it again, and they'll probably try to keep doing it for the rest of this game, but now Smoothie goes another 2 down. Still no power clams here for Jumper's team, but with 10 total knocks, you've got to figure that a power clam's coming soon, and this might finally be time for them.
Yeah, it seems like the machine's going to probably end up getting that power clam first, just considering they have 7 right now. And it looks like Smoothie is, looks like Jumper is very much trying to find their way in, and they do have those missiles that crab at the ready, and this should be a pretty easy push for them with 3 specials coming out to at least get it started. Probably going to be a little bit harder to maintain though, since they don't have any more specials to really use.
Position of that crab tank from Bran, able to open things up, but it doesn't even matter because here comes Hia and the 52 gal for Smoothie that's able to clean things up on that far side of the map. And now Slow Start actually comes up with the machine. Was playing Blob earlier, now switches over to this weapon, still's got it. Able to find another double, trying to maintain a little bit more space here, trying to buy some time for maybe another push. Not going to happen that time around. Balloon is going to be able to come up with 1. 2-down situation now. We're just seeing all of these splats go back and forth tonight. It's an absolute ink bath.
Yep, they are fighting it out here in every scenario. Another great shot by this machine who is starting to cycle this through. And Bran, of course, getting stuck in the crab, could not jump away, could not roll away on top of that box. That is the one thing that's rough about being in a spot like that with your crab. If you can't move away, you are susceptible to the Booyah Bomb, the natural predator of the crab, as it were. But again, they're continually fighting here. No points have been scored. Okay, 3 of them are down. The 4th one's about to go down. Surely, at this point, someone is going to score. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Power Clam goes in. Hia looking for a little bit of follow-up. The Pity Clam's also going to be jumped in here as well. Boopy's going to connect with that. Down to the 26-point mark for Smoothie here. Things are looking pretty strong. Able to get trades both sides of the map. Catboy's trying to stick around, open things up here, maybe allow for a few more clams to come in. No, not going to happen in time. And now there's 60 seconds left to play. We've seen Jumper steal these games away here, Nox, and you have to imagine they're barreling for this basket soon.
They do need to move on that basket soon, but they're probably not going to barrel right towards it. They don't quite have any specials at the ready yet. And in this kind of situation, you really want to make sure that you have those specials at the ready to be able to create a more sustained push. It's not a small push that they need. They need something bigger. And as they go 3 down, I don't quite know how they're going to find it.
I don't even know where they all went 3 down from. Looks like Catboy is just able to pop over top of that stack and able to get the one on the power clam. Now we're going to see another power clam find the basket here for Smoothie. They might be able to find a little bit of follow-up. No, actually, looks like Slow Start was able to come up with 1, 2, and now a 3rd, thanks to some of the team, but it was just stopped in the nick of time. Well, meanwhile, Smoothie got this down to the 2-point mark, and it'll once again need to be an effective knockout for Jumper's team. 9, I don't think there are enough clams on the map.
No, and I don't know if it's just a matter of underestimating the chip damage here or how quickly it is, but that's a couple times that we have seen the machine in that spot go down, trying to get cheeky and up there and fight. Brand needs to come up with a huge play right now, is going to opt to go up to the top left here and maybe use the grab. Now has to jump back down and not get taken out early. Yes, we're going to see one score here, but they need a whole lot more, and I'm not sure where they're going to find the clamps from. They push their roller up to attack. That's not the weapon that you want attacking in that situation. Even Brand can't fight a full team by himself, and Smoothie, again, has been in control of the majority of this set.
And they are about to be in control of the grand finals of this tournament. They might be able to add yet another SOS to their resume. Going on a tear, by the way. I believe it was Smoothie that was able to win Squid Junction on Saturday night. So they'll actually be able to pick up 2 weeklies in the same week. Nox, this team looks like they're on fire so far.
Yeah, Smoothie, it seems like every time they come into an SOS is pretty on fire. I definitely think that there's been a couple of times that they've done paddling pool into SOS and won both before, too. It's definitely not uncommon for Smoothie to take a few weeklies under their belt on a regular basis.
And hey, sometimes, I mean, I know at this point, I'm getting pretty tired myself. I have to imagine that any opponents are going to be getting pretty tired, but this is the time that Smoothie normally plays. 9, there's something to be said for the mentality that you have to have at this time to continue playing the game, even 3-4 hours into the tournament so far. It's starting to get late, it's past my bedtime, things like that. I mean, there's something to be said for also the mentality of these players right now.
The mentality as well, and when the opponent makes a big comp change like Jumpir's team tried to do there was a real opportunity, I think, for Smoothie to get a little bit lax there, let the attack get to their heads. Instead, they sped up even more that game in terms of how they attacked, how they moved forward, how they simply at times just hopped up onto the opponent's box and said, I'll probably win this fight. They're by themselves. I can handle this, surely. And yeah, not only are they playing well, it seems like they're only playing better as time has gone on. So, I mean, they've got one more game to win it and prove us right.
Tournament point for Smoothie, but now they'll be looking to the next 2 games to try to find their one victory they need. Meanwhile, Jumpir's squad will need to win the next 2. But first, for Game 4, we'll turn to Splat Zones on Wahoo World here, Nox. This is a map mode combination we, personally, the competitive scene, don't often get to see. Very lockout heavy, I fear, but neither one of these teams really playing for those lockouts.
Yeah, neither of them seem to be playing for those lockouts. I expect that we'll be seeing a lot of retake going on here. I do think that Jumpir actually has a bit of a better chance on a map like this, taking advantage of those missiles. Missiles were always so strong on this map back in Splatoon 2, and remain strong on it, even with the newer nerf that they've had to this day, just because of how narrow the entryways to it are, and how little space you really have to work with how those walls around the zone are.
9, there's a squeezer on a Hanron-like team, and I think we've finally figured out who slow start might be.
See, you would say that, but I think there's like 3 players that could potentially fall into that. I know both Ant and Sufi both play that weapon at a high level and play on these Hanron-type pickups, so I won't go so far as to say, but I will say regardless of which of those players it is, K-Bot, you and I saw in person what this weapon is capable of and how very, very difficult it can be to displace once it gets set up. Big sight lines to fire at the Crabs here. Crab can only take a couple of those and can't take many more, is going to be taken down, but able to take somebody else down in the process. Now, this is where the 52 gal, I think, is going to have a real opportunity to attack. Does just that and gets snuffed out a little bit quickly there. The wall battles are not something that we've gotten to see that much here, but of course we all know how annoying and how much of a pester a good splash wall can be once you get set up on the attacking side.
And Brand meets that with his face there. That time around, going to run right into the splash wall and not able to actually come through with the picks. Now, going to be able to find that one. Cheeky little onto that 52 gal and enabling this orange team and plenty of orange ink across the map right now, well ahead of the zone. It looks like they're trying to get something set up here, but instantly Booyah Bomb comes in. Boopy's Crab comes in here as well. And while they might be able to take the lead, it won't be a strong one at all. And no, indeed, switches there with 1 point to go. Nice.
Yeah, it almost seems like they might have let themselves lose the zone a bit on purpose there, as they did have that lead, and they knew that they would have all of these specials coming in, which could allow them to get this pretty much a lockout situation getting going here, with more time to get things like that Inkzuka at the ready coming up for the next time Smoothie tries to get a push in here.
And now we're starting to see these splash walls go down again, so far ahead of the zone for Yohard, that's Jumper, and we're starting to see a little bit more of that presence come through. One down either side, slow start, able to find the fall off here, the fadeaway shot, taking care of business, and now pops this Trizuka, able to get two, and now there's just one person around the zone for Smoothie. They didn't even find the penalty here, and it looks like Jumper's team might be able to run away with this one. Seth going forward, able to find one, now might be able to find another one on the Hiha, able to find that one there as well. No blue ink is around the zone at all, and folks, we've got a game 5.
I swear to God, if slow start was an entire bit to lose 2 games and then switch over to the main, I'm gonna be so angry.
Wouldn't be unheard of for a SOS pickup team to do something like that, though.
Playing with our hearts in all sorts of ways, but that just means that we've got one more game to go. When we talk about flashbacks here, flashing back to the first game, Nox, this tower control was pretty close. Do you expect we'll see something similar here as well?
I mean, I'm hoping that we see something similar here. It's always best when you see a close game 5, and especially thinking back to when they were playing Rainmaker on Flounder Heights for Jumpir. It definitely was a map where they had to fight a lot more against Nawal than they did in the Clan Blitz game on Eeltail. Definitely a map where it can be very hard to break through that first checkpoint. It's just such a rough barrier to try and get through.
Well, we'll see what comes out here this time around. Lord knows what weapons they're going to be playing. Nine, do you have any predictions of what we might see?
Tower control Flounder. Bran is gonna play a Splash-O-Matic.
You know what? You got me there. You got me there, Nine. Have to imagine probably going to see something of that effect. But will be interesting to see the other pieces and parts there, right? We're talking at times where we saw Seth going over to the Tetras, kind of have to just sit away from that. Now we're starting to see the Squeezer come out and all different sorts of flavors here. You'd almost think that they're the ones that are the Smoothie with how many flavors and different compositions they've got, Nox.
Yeah, they definitely have been flexing around a lot. And it seems to some degree, with the exception of maybe switching over to that Squeezer, it can be a little map dependent for them. Switching from Tetra over to 52 Gal on Macomart. I know a lot of Tetra players don't necessarily love that map, and all the walls on it can get quite annoying for them. So it does seem like a lot of the switches are very purposeful and thought out in regards to what they are trying to accomplish.
Well, we'll see if this Hanuran pickup squad can do it here. Tower control Flounder Heights for game 5 of Swim or Sink 95. Very similar composition here coming out of Smoothie. Not a surprise, but there's the Blob plus Machine combination. 9, even your prediction this time was wrong.
Wow, this is unbelievable. I can't get anything right in this stupid game, man. This is unbelievable. I will say that Brand's certainly one of the finest Machine players in the game, can flex between Machine and any shooter as quick as you like, but I also think that Brand was one of the players who was able to keep up with this pace with that, and of course the other members of the team now switching over to Splash, no slouch either, but Slow Start switching back over. At this point, I think we know that it has to be simply something that they just feel comfortable with, and certainly if you get high ground with this weapon, you're going to be able to make life very difficult for the opposing team on the defensive side.
We'll see which team strikes first, as alternating Booyah Bombs are going to come out here. Looks like Smoothie's going to be the team that goes 2 down. That's going to allow Yohard, its Jumper, to start pushing this tower forward. First check has been reached, and looking like it might be breached here as well. But Boopy actually comes up from the backside here, looking to be a slight distraction. Now going to run away. But all the meanwhile, this tower still trying to push forward. Actually, no, it's not going to clear past this first checkpoint with all of the pressure that Smoothie's able to put up on it. And Nox, to your point, they're not even going to get past it for now.
Yeah, it's a really difficult map to break through those checkpoints on, even though you have that high ground. And a weapon like Blob will make that a bit easier, but we did see Jumpir's Blob have to jump out earlier there, and we're just seeing everyone having a hard time really staying anywhere. This map definitely creates so many situations where you're just forced to scatter and move, and it's hard to hold any ground for any length of time with all that verticality, something that we're not as used to seeing in Splatoon 3 with maps like Moray being gone.
I mean, you would think Jumper's team goes 2 down. That allows maybe an avenue for Smoothie to get back in, but they don't feel confident because they can't necessarily paint all of the different parts of this map. Now, finally, they must be feeling confident after getting this 3 down. And of course, one of those splashes is up over the wall, immediately gets taken out of the Crab Tank. And now, finally, we'll see our first checkpoint breach 2 minutes into the game. Crab Tank, Killer Whale, both going out here, looking to try to target some of the members of Jumper's team before they can even think about touching this tower, buying a little bit more space around this second checkpoint. Now Hia looking for the drop, looking but can't quite seem to find an angle that time around. Is going to get pressured away, especially with all these crabs coming back and forth. Now Seth gets straightened down as Hia's finally able to find an infiltration angle. Booyah Bomb comes out, scattering some of the members of Smoothie. The balloon is still around, trying to maintain this push for Smoothie. Bran is there though, able to find 2 before going down himself, but Boopy's still on top of the tower. Now it's a 1v1 around. Burst Bomb comes out, that player finally goes down. Crab Tank on top of the tower here. Boopy's going to start rolling forward, and it looks like the jumps might have come in here for Smoothie. They're still on top of the tower, but no, they're going to get stopped at the 2-point mark. Hia and Boopy are still around looking to try to clean things up, but now it's just a firefight. They're all running around the place. They are going to stay alive for the meanwhile, but now it looks like they're just trying to find their way back into mid. I don't even know what to make of that, 9.
Yeah, me either. I'm trying to piece together where that all fell apart for Jumper's squad there. Of course, they went 3 down, and the last one simply stalled them there for Crab, but that entire time, they had cycled enough specials that I thought maybe there was a small window for them to move in, but credit the members of Smoothie rotating around on the defensive side, making themselves very, very hard to hit with anything that wasn't a main weapon, meant that every fight that they took, they were slightly advantaged towards the start. Another great push for them early part in the game, and it gets so much easier to defend when you know the opponent essentially has to knock it out to take you down.
Uh-oh, here we go, though. Jumper's team might have an advantage. 2 down. Seth now out of the Crab Tank is going to get punished in the process. Only that member for now going down. Would be looking for another member here, trying to find one of these picks, but not able to do it while the Crab is still up. No specials online for anybody at the moment, as it looks like Jumper's team is able to do this. They've been clutched before. Can they try to find it again? They're already past some of those checkpoints, and just one more remains. They have to get this down to the complete other side of the map, though, Nox, and that is certainly going to be a challenge with how we've seen Smoothie play, and especially their discipline on defense.
It certainly will, but that being said, even 30 seconds can be quite a long time in Splatoon. There's so much time to really just try and get your specials up then, and they do have a history of being able to make these huge last-second pushes, and they have less checkpoints to break through than they did on Hagglefish. So it's definitely something they can accomplish if they play it right. It will be difficult to do, especially since Smoothie is able to get so many of these crabs out, but as a member goes down, it looks like this might be something that can be accomplished, as 2 are down on the side of Smoothie right now.
Yeah, once again, going up there to disrupt things. Now it's Boopy right around the tower. Now the Booyah Bomb comes out of Balloon, is going to get taken down to the process. And again, we're seeing these players run circles around one another. But by the way, Jumper's team has got to maintain the push of the tower right now. It looks like it's going to get cleared off, and Smoothie are going to be your swim or sink 95 champions. I don't know what kind of chaotic swarm that was at the end, but it's the Smoothie that's going to walk out of the blender as per usual in these SOS events, 9.
And for those of you watching who are trying to take notes here on how they made that defense and how they made the defense for the duration of that game, I want you to keep in mind that they had people attacking from the backside, but not full-on flanks, where the main objective was to simply go down, hit the tower, and take a couple people out. Because, again, at this level, players move too quickly. You aren't going to be able to get those long, sustained shots off. But what you can do is attack the tower, slow it down a little bit, force the opponent to turn back around, throw a burst bomb, throw another bomb, and as the opponents kind of get stuck in one area, not sure if they should move forward or turn around, it's going to give the rest of your team opportunities to either respawn, to build up their own specials, or to create a coordinated attack on different parts of the map. There were so many moments there where Smoothie simply stopped pushes before they could ever really get started, understanding how they wanted to map and having the trust that if things did go south, they would have a special to stabilize with, and that they had nothing to worry about even when it got to that final checkpoint.
And hey, I mean, the other thing here too, when we're talking about Smoothie, we're talking about a team that's been playing together pretty consistently in a lot of these weeknight tournaments. they're the ones that are able to come together with the synergy, rely on one another as you might expect. Whereas, maybe Nox, I mean, I'm sure you have the experience playing in pickups here as well. Sometimes things just aren't going to synergize quite as well as you would like.
Yeah, pickups are always a much more challenging experience when you have even just another member or two that you play with on a very regular basis. Having that set, that's a very common Smoothie roster. Those are the players that you'll nearly always see in from them. So they are very comfortable playing together. I have seen those players play on and off together since Splatoon 2. They are very comfortable with each other at this point.
Must be comfortable with each other for all of the different events they're winning. Like I said, now that's 2 tournament wins in a week for them. So they've got to be feeling pretty confident about themselves as things continue to develop here in we're still in early Splatoon 3 here, folks. Only have 1 weapon update under our belts so far. And of course, it'll be fantastic to see where all of these teams and players end up going. 9, I'll send it off to you. You have any closing thoughts to cap off the night?
No, just that seeing these teams that adopted Double Splash and the way that the game has been played at the highest level, it's great to see the defensive resources that they're able to find, where they move and how quickly they move to spots where they can attack. We knew that it was going to take a little time for people to really start to figure out those small details, the things that you start to do subconsciously, moving into the right spot when you have your special versus when you don't have your special, moving up with your team, creating little windows. And it's great to see a team like Smoothie be able to make it look so good. And as we head into what should be our our midway patch of this current season here in the next couple of weeks, most likely, this might be the last time that you get to see this type of play for a while in Splatoon 3. And I know for most of you that's going to be welcome change, but appreciate the players when they're playing it well. That's all I got to say.
You have to appreciate what's going on here for all the folks, especially that are continuing to build the community. Shout outs to everyone at IPL helping host the tournament tonight. Grace Head TO has a plethora of folks helping out. Elemental running the stream for us here this evening. And then, of course, my co-casters, 9 and Nox. Been a pleasure here tonight to work with the 2 of you. And I look forward to doing many more of these. 9, we were talking before this, 11 days in, and it was finally your first Splatoon cast of the year.
Surprised it took so long, but I'll have a couple more casts over the next few days here, so just gotta rest my voice. It was just a long vocal rest, that's all it was.
All right. Well, once again, congratulations to Smoothie. And on behalf of everyone here, be sure you're tuning in to more IPL events to come. Of course, another Proving Grounds event on Friday as well. So make sure you're all sticking around for that. You can follow IPL, Splatoon, Twitch, Twitter. You know the drill, folks. You've been around here for long enough. But on behalf of everybody here, I'm K-Bot. I've been joined by 9 and Nox. And we'll catch you all another time. Stay fresh, everybody, and have yourselves a good night.